Number 5 will now come to order. Please stand for the playing of the national anthem. Councilmember Bankson, will you lead us in the pledge?
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This evening, Council is grateful to have the Reverend John Edgar, the founding pastor of United Methodist Church for All People, here to pray with us. Pastor, welcome to Council. Back to Council.
President Hardin and members of City Council, I appreciate the opportunity to be with you this evening. Let us pray. Almighty God, as we assemble for the proceedings of the City Council meeting, we humbly ask that each of us may feel your presence and be guided by your righteousness. Tonight, pour forth, O Lord, your whispered words of wisdom into the waiting ears of our council members and their president. Continue to weave them together as an effective force for positive change. Guide them in their deliberations, ensuring that they make decisions that provide and promote the unfolding of your kingdom here in the city of Columbus, even as it is in heaven. May your amazing grace flow outward, washing over all who have gathered in these chambers. Be especially close to those who make presentations or speak about various matters. Temper their words with civility and shape their requests to be in harmony with your desires. Awaken us afresh, dear God, to the truth that we are stewards of the manifold resources you have entrusted to us. Guided by your grace, may we share forward the best we have received, trusting that you, O Lord, will take whatever we offer and use it to further build an opportunity-rich community where all may thrive. Direct each of us, council members and individual citizens, to do everything we can to care for those who are vulnerable and most at risk. All this we pray, trusting that your Holy Spirit is already at work within each of our hearts and souls. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor. Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Akauer, Dorrance, Green, Remy, Ross, White, President Hardin. Any person who takes any action to obstruct or interfere with the conduct of tonight's meeting may be charged with disturbing a lawful meeting pursuant to Columbus City Code 2317.12. Any person who enters those areas of City Council chambers reserved for city officials or invited guests may be charged with criminal trespass pursuant to Columbus City Code 2311.21.
Can I get a motion to dismiss the reading of the journal? Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Akauer, Dorrance, Green, Remy, Ross, White, President Hardin.
Are there any additions or corrections to the journal? Hearing none, the journal is approved. This week's communications received by the city clerk's office are listed on the agenda and will be published in the city bulletin. Are there any other communications to be read into the record? Madam Clerk?
No, not at this time.
Before we go around the dais, I want to take a moment to reflect on the life of and celebrate the service of longtime city auditor and person of service, Mr. Hugh Dorian. Mr. Dorian served our city for more than 50 years. and they truly don't make them like that anymore. Mr. Dorian would be someone who would not want a lot of fanfare, but because of the person he was, how much humility he had, how he served without wanting the focus on him, I think it's important that we actually do put the focus on him, not just to celebrate his service, but to remind us who currently serve and those who will serve after us what true service, humble service, people first service is really like. And that was Mr. Dorian. We will, over the next week, as we celebrate Mr. Dorian, have many different opportunities, but I wanted to turn the floor over to Tom from Mr. Dorian's office, or from the auditor's office. Yeah, it was Mr. Dorian's office, to say a few words. Tom?
Thank you, President Harden, Pro Tem Dorans, members of council, and city colleagues. On behalf of Auditor Kilgore and the staff at the Columbus City Auditor's Office, we would just like to express our condolences to the Dorian family, but also celebrate the life of former Auditor Hugh Dorian. Mr. Dorian was a shining example of a public servant whose career was defined by service, integrity, and an unwavering commitment to the people of Columbus. For more than 5 decades, Mr. Dorian dedicated his life to this city. Until his retirement, he was the only auditor most of us in the city had ever even known. It was a constant stabilizing presence. Mr. Dorian served with 6 mayors, 10 council presidents, 51 council members, and 4 city clerks. His steady leadership helped Columbus maintain the strongest financial standing, including the highest possible credit ratings, through disciplined and careful management of public resources. It is said that we stand in the shade because someone before us had the foresight to plant a tree. Well, to extend that metaphor, we are living in a forest due to Mr. Dorian's farsightedness and watchfulness. The city of Columbus is a better place from his sage advice and guidance, and has been shaped by his devotion and passion for making Columbus a fantastic place to live, work, play, and raise a family. Mr. Dorian had his hand in nearly everything related to the city's infrastructure and finances, overseeing the issuance of billions of dollars in bonds and ensuring that the borrowed funds were used to build and sustain the essential systems our community depends on. Much of what Columbus residents see today, the growth of our neighborhoods, the strength of our utilities, and the stability of our services exist because of his careful financial stewardship and long-range vision. Those who worked with him knew a man guided not by politics, by a simple principle: always consider what is best for the community. Mr. Dorian was the wise and steady leader that helped steer Columbus through crisis and prosperity. He is a role model and the truest example I know as to what the public service can be when exercised with honesty, purpose, vision, and passion. His legacy is not only found in balanced ledgers and strong credit ratings, but in a city that was built, protected, and sustained through decades of his faithful service. Columbus is stronger because Hugh Dorian chose to serve, and to serve the city he loved dearly with integrity. To the Dorian family, please accept not only our heartfelt sympathy for your grief, but also the gratitude of an entire city for his influence on our lives. May you find peace and comfort in knowing he lived an impactful and purposeful life. To Hugh Dorian, we simply say thank you from a grateful city. Well done, good and faithful servant.
Yeah.
If someone has worked with Mr. Dorian for almost 2.5 decades, I'd like to thank council for the opportunity to make these remarks.
Well, thank you. This council just gives a big hug to the auditor's office. A lot of folks who grew up under, of course, our auditor was mentored by Mr. Dorian and so many others in that office. And so we are thinking about your office. We are praying for you and supporting the Dorian family as well. May we please have a moment of silence for the life and legacy of Mr. Hugh Dorian. Thank you. Like I said, we will be celebrating Mr. Dorian, and I know Proclamation Day is coming up. He was a true Irishman, so council will be full with a lot of Dorians, I believe, in a couple weeks or so, as we also celebrate him then. With that, we'll go around the dais. Councilmember Bankston.
Thank you, Council President. And again, as you said, truly lost an icon and a giant. I had the pleasure of knowing Mr. Dorian and working with him directly. I ran the 2016 bond package campaign. I was just reminiscing of some of those times with my team of how when you wanted to record a robocall, you did not just send Mr. Dorian a script and ask him to do it. You had to go to his office, dial the number for him, and help him through it because he was just classic in that way, and he had a way with people that I think that is just lost in today's politics. And so definitely praying for him and his family, but he definitely served this community well, and so many of us are thankful for it. I know that I am, and I learned a tremendous amount in 2016 working with him. Just a couple of announcements. The rental registry hearing, as a reminder, next Thursday on February 19th at 4 p.m., I will be chairing the third hearing to discuss the proposed creation of a rental registry. The hearing will share updates on the framework of the proposal along with draft language for the ordinance. All persons wishing to speak during the hearing in person must fill out the speaker request form by Wednesday, February 18th at 5 p.m. The form can be accessed via my council social media pages, council's webpage, or by contacting Jonathan Brown in my office at jbbrown@columbus.gov. Written testimony must be emailed to Jonathan Brown at jbbrown@columbus.gov with the subject February 19 hearing testimony with your name and address by 5 p.m. on February 18th. A document highlighting the changes between the last version and the newest version is live on the council webpage under my council webpage specifically. The meeting will be live streamed on the city's YouTube channel and council Facebook pages. And again, each speaker will be limited to their remarks lasting no longer than 3 minutes. Really want to thank all folks that have engaged and leaned in on this rental registry. Again, the third hearing, and we will continue to engage with the community. So reach out to my office if you have any questions or have difficulties accessing that document. And with that, Council President, that's all I have.
Thank you, Council President. We were going to do this during my piece of legislation, but I thought we'd do it at the top of the meeting when we have the most folks here in attendance. So winter has come. It is here. It feels like it's not going to go anywhere, but the temperature, Mother Nature is going to turn a corner and work in our favor. So first, I want to say thank you again to our snow warriors, and just a reminder to folks that I think it's very easy when it is snowing outside for us to lose the joy that we once had as children when there is a snow day because of the inconveniences that it provides to us. But our snow warriors are our friends and neighbors who, for some of you may have seen on line, I went out with one of our snow warriors, and she was sharing about how she had done 12-hour shifts from the time that the snow started. And so because we have gotten the winter we have not gotten for the past almost 20 years, we got it all at one time. So I wanted to hand it over to the director to just give us a bit of an update on where we are, what has happened since our last council meeting, and what folks can expect. So, Director, the floor is yours.
All right. President Harden, Chair Barosa de Padilla, other members of council. We have had quite a few, quite a week or two with the snow and ice. We are working through, we had gone through the entire snow plan, all 4,600 miles. We had hit all of our priority threes. We aimed to hit them twice, so we went through all the streets twice. Some of the priority ones, priority twos got hit multiple times. I mean, this was an unprecedented storm for us. Wanted to thank publicly all of the other departments and divisions that helped with the auxiliary staff. We had contractor help. We had help from the Franklin County Engineer's Office to help haul out the snow from downtown, so that was a huge help. We had folks from other departments and within my department dispatching all night, and then working their day shift. I mean, it was quite an effort just to get it all done. We are working through all the bike lanes right now and also helping to assist our friends at Columbus Water and Power with any of the water main.
So first, I want to see if my colleagues have any additional questions or other thoughts? Again, I just wanted to say thank you for, I saw the bike lanes on Broad Street especially that were cleared out. I know that folks have been asking about the bike lanes in particular, and because of the unprecedented amount of snow, I mean, I saw the operation on, even down Broad Street of us literally packing snow into trucks and moving it into another location, which has not happened in 2 decades. And so, do I have that right? That stat. So again, I just want to thank everyone for their patience. I want to thank everyone for looking out for your neighbors. Just a reminder to everyone that your sidewalk in front of your house is your responsibility. And so we've gotten, I know that a lot of the snow has gone to that berm area, but if folks can clear that path, especially for folks so that they can get to school, get to the bus stop, get around the neighborhood, walk your dog safely, that is imperative. And if your neighbor has not, this might be the time to ask them, maybe they need a shovel, or maybe they need some assistance from neighbors or entrepreneurial young people who might be in the community looking for an opportunity. But I just want to remind folks that these sidewalks are our responsibility, and this is how we can ensure that we're creating safe passages for people. So thank you again, Director. Thank you to everyone who reached out. Thank you for clearing your sidewalks. Thank you for continuing to pack your patience. I know that it is no fun at this point. Snow was cute the first couple days. Now it's not as cute. So, but the temperature is going to go up, so that will give us a bit of a reprieve, and folks will have safer streets and hopefully safer sidewalks to walk down. So, thank you. That's all for me.
Thank you, Councilmember. Thank you for your leadership during that time as well. Councilmember Deokawa.
Thank you, Council President. I have 2 quick announcements. First, I want to congratulate the Department of Neighborhoods for putting on another successful Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Youth Oratorical Contest. It was the 25th year. I had a great group of kids going from kindergarten all the way through 12th grade. Very excited to see our winners move on to the next stage of the contest. So job well done to the department for that. And next, I'd like to take a moment to congratulate Director Reese and Columbus Recreation and Parks Department for receiving 5 awards of excellence from the Ohio Parks and Recreation Association this past week. The department received awards for the Souter Avenue Pedestrian Bridge, the Fran Ryan Center, the SEBA Soul Fest. Additionally, they were recognized for their work in expanding equity and opportunity through golf. And Millard Morgan was named Youth Sports Coach of the Year, which was super exciting. So I think I speak for all my colleagues when I say we are so proud of the hard work of our Recreation and Parks Department. You guys just keep doing a great job, and you continue to be competitive on a state and national level, and so we're all very proud of you. And that's all for me today.
Thank you, Councilmember. Congratulations. Press Pro Tem.
Thank you, Council President. I don't do a ton of resolutions at council, but I do have 2 tonight because there's 2 anniversaries and recognitions that I want to make sure that we had an opportunity to celebrate. So I want to call up Walker and Ann Evans as I read Resolution 0021-2026 to recognize and celebrate the 25th anniversary of Columbus Underground. I remember moving to Columbus nearly 20 years ago and stumbling on to Columbus Underground, and it really helped me navigate a new city, arts and culture, and the civic affairs of Columbus. And it's been so cool to watch Columbus Underground grow and change with the city during that time. I think it's become such an integral part of Columbus as we think about, as we continue to change, what does that mean? And you all have done such an interesting job in helping to reinvent yourself over and over again in the changing media landscape that we have here in Columbus, and having the independent journalism that has the ability to cover everything, all the fun things in Columbus, but also at the same time asking really, really tough questions around affordable housing and safety in Columbus, and what are we going to do with the amount of development and changes that neighborhoods are experiencing now and into the future. So as this anniversary came and arrived, I wanted to make sure we recognize such a important part of independent journalism here in Columbus, because I know it's touched a lot of different lives, and certainly for a kid that moved here from Athens after college, you all were integral for me figuring out how this city works, and I know I'm not alone in that, so wanted to make sure I had the opportunity to recognize you all for this accomplishment. So with that, I want to turn the floor over to you all.
Okay. Yeah, we want to say thanks to council and for this recognition, and we're very grateful. The community has embraced Columbus Underground the way it has over the past 25 years. And we're just excited. It allows us to create opportunities and jobs and cultural experiences for people in our city. And we look forward to continuing to get to do this work.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that we are celebrating all year long, so we have plenty of events and parties and things to look forward to. But just to add that, with our jobs, we are, our role is to shine a spotlight on the people and the places, the businesses, the entrepreneurs, the artists, the events that make this city, a great place to live. And so we don't always talk about ourselves a whole lot. We don't shine the spotlight on ourselves. So I just want to say thanks for doing this because. We're not in the spotlight a lot. So this means a lot to us on a personal level. So thanks.
Want to pause to see if my Councilman Barbosa de Padilla.
So fun fact, Walker Evans and I were on the very first ever YP Commission for the city of Columbus. We're not going to talk about how old the YP Commission is today, because the people who are real good at math, that might give a little bit more information than we're willing to share with the community, Walker. But I just want to say, I think to the point that you were making, Pro Tem, thank you for always being a good partner. I think at any time, community-based things that we've reached out to say, hey, can you do a story? Can you shine a light on this? Or can we talk about this? You found ways to do that and ways to really uplift everything from stories about fashion, about regular people or their homes or art collections or things that are happening in the city. You're always my first stop to see like what's going on in the city this weekend or what fun thing can we do. And so thank you for always evolving and changing and bringing fun stories and people stories to life. And also one thing that folks also don't know is that you've been involved in many efforts around the city when I think about Independence Day and festival and other things in the city, because you are that quiet, humble person that moves around that I think creates the kind of Columbus that we want to live in, and you've been a part of that and a fabric of that. So thank you both. Thank you for all the contributions that you have made together. You're the true definition of a power couple.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Certainly a family business. Any of my other colleagues? Seeing none, I move for adoption.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, De Akauer, Dorns, Green, Remy, Ross, White, President Harden.
Adopted.
Thank you. Next, I want to invite Mr. Dwayne Casares, as I read Resolution 0022X-2026 to the podium, to recognize and honor him for his retirement from Directions for Youth and Family after 33 years of service and leadership. It is not hyperbole to suggest that Dwayne has touched tens of thousands of kids and, most importantly, their entire families through his work with young people in Columbus. The ability for Dwayne and his team of everything that you've done for young people in our community, really to address the root causes of trauma that so many, unfortunately, young people in Columbus have experienced in their lives, with such a broad and intentional work to uplift them and to expand those services. Again, we were just talking about this before the meeting, to other parts of Columbus. And your leadership with Directions for Youth and Family has been something I know I've appreciated, and I think every member of this council has deeply, deeply appreciated. And then, you decided to do the bigger thing and not only just stay in the one place on Ohio Avenue that you knew you were welcomed and supported and had that incredible impact, but you looked what else could the organization do. and in the craziest of times, raised a boatload of money to build a new center and invite even more families in our community to receive the incredibly needed resources that you and your team provided. So this is really just an opportunity for council to say thank you for all of this work for so many years. To your wife who's here tonight, thank you for sharing him with the community for all these years. I know this work has certainly takes a toll on not only the person doing it, but also their family. It's hard not to bring that home at the end of the day, considering all of the things that you were involved in with our young people in our community. So a well-deserved retirement, and a month in, and sounds like you already have some things figured out, although that sounds like the gym is still the first thing that starts your day, so good for you. But again, this is just a moment for myself and council just to say thank you to you for all the work that you've done over the years. I don't know if any of my colleagues have anything that they want to add before we turn the mic over to you.
I just want to second the commemoration of your service. I remember when we first met and I was introducing to you this new concept about community immersion and making sure our officers had intentional connection with young people so they can understand how to be trauma informed in that work. And I remember how visionary you were in creating simulations for the officers and the kids to engage with together. And I will tell you that has been some very transformative work, both in our division and with the community. So thank you so much for believing in an idea that I had, for being one of our first partners to do it. And I certainly look forward to continuing working with Directions for Youth and Families as we continue to support our young people in the community. So thank you so much.
Thank you for being part of. Thank you for this recognition too, and thank you. I have to tell you from the beginning, Rob and I were talking about this 7 years ago is when I had first talked to him about building the Crittenden Center, and he was so encouraging through that whole thing. And COVID hit, that set everything back. But City Council has just been so supportive throughout the process. This is it's kind of funny standing. Toya's on my board. Lourdes, you were on the board for a little while. You know, I've worked with so many of you in the nonprofit world all along the way, and I'm just really grateful for it. So thank you. It's an honor to be able to serve Columbus like all of you, and with all our fellow nonprofit partners who really every day go out there to lift and put smiles on the faces and try to keep people safe and keep them in homes and keep them fed. And just the whole group of them, I'm honored to be a part of it. And I was honored to be able to really live out what I really think was my purpose, and to find it and to be able to do that and to do it with all of you. So thank you very, very much.
Any other comments from my colleagues? Seeing none, I move for adoption.
Clerk, please call the row.
Banks, Den, Barosa de Padilla, de Akauer, Dorance Green, Remy Ross White, President Harden.
Adopt it.
Hey, Council President, that's all I have.
Thank you, Press Pro Tem. Councilmember Green. Councilmember Remy. Councilmember Ross.
I just have one resolution this evening. If I could invite the Honorable Judge James Edward Green to the front, and as you are walking, I would like to introduce Resolution 0020X-2026 to recognize, honor, and celebrate Judge James Edward Green on his retirement from the Franklin County Municipal Court. The Honorable Judge Green was the most senior judge on the Franklin County Municipal Court when retiring in December of 2025. Judge Green was appointed by Governor Voinovich to the Franklin County Municipal Court in 1994, where he served for more than 31 years, making him the longest-serving African-American judge on the bench and earning him a place in history as the second longest-serving judge on the Franklin County Municipal Court. While on the bench, Judge Green presided over more than 480,000 cases. Green's service to the Columbus community and to Franklin County also includes serving as an assistant Franklin County prosecutor, teaching at the Columbus Police Academy, teaching at the Columbus State Community College for more than 20 years, pouring into countless K through 12th graders with scholarships, speaking engagements, supporting sports teams, and celebrating them at graduation. The judge is passionate about mentoring and encouraging young students interested in the law. He has served as the mock trial coordinator for decades. The City of Columbus and the county and Franklin County Municipal Court have truly been enriched by Judge Green's commitment to justice, public service, and humanity. Prior to serving on city council, I had the great honor of serving as an assistant city attorney for nearly 10 years, and I truly, truly am thankful for all of the wisdom, whether I asked for it or not, that Judge Green has given to me. And even before then, remember seeing him as a young kid at Corinthian Baptist Church with his bow tie, ushering in the back of the sanctuary. Truly has always been a lifelong servant of this community, and it is my great honor to recognize you today. Do any of my colleagues have comments? All right, with that, I'll move for adoption. Oh, I'm sorry, Councilmember Bankston.
You got to watch the subtle cues with me. I don't just speak out of turn. I wait to be recognized by the chair. Judge Green, I just wanted to say, congratulations. We go back a ways. And what I will say that I hope folks take away from your service is that of civility. I think that we are increasingly in a time that partisan politics has weaved its way through everything, and the theater of it all sometimes can block out the work. But you are someone who did the work with no fanfare. We're always a straight shooter. And I will say that one of the things that stood out to me the most when I had a chance to come visit you in your chambers, you were someone who nominated me for a recognition that, and with an organization that I had no connection to, with the Simon Kenton Council, Boy Scouts of America, as the Whitney M. Young awardee for that year. And what you said to me was that folks are always watching, even folks that you don't know. And that stuck with me because I think sometimes in this work, folks want to be out there and be out front, but sometimes the work will speak for itself. And so you always reminded me, and that sticks with me to this day, that it's not about the fanfare or the recognition, but it's about rolling up our sleeves and doing work. That's why we raise our hand for public service. And so just want to say to you, job well done, my friend. Looking forward to what you're going to do in your next, because I know we just talking, you only been retired for a couple of days, but you're already on to something else, and looking forward to seeing how you will continue to impact the community. But congratulations, and thank you for pouring into me, for pouring into so many other folks in this community, and for serving us so well. Congratulations.
Any other comments from my colleagues? Well, I'd be remiss if I didn't give the good judge an opportunity to speak before council before I move for adoption.
You know not to give me a microphone. I want to thank you for the recognition. I've had a heart for service, I'd say my entire life. And what oftentimes now is being referred to as retirement, I'm calling it retooling.
Okay.
I'm not going anywhere.
Of course you're not.
I'll continue to serve as a visiting judge at a courtroom near you. And I've started a business where I'm going into life coaching so I can continue to try to pour into those in the community that are going through various transitions. So I'm excited about the next chapter. My wife is in the back, Risa, and we are being called into service as a team to hopefully do some neat things yet in the community. So again, thank you. I appreciate what you do, and it's been a good run. It's been a good run.
With that, I move for adoption.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Akauer, Dorrance, Green, Remy, Ross, Weiss, President Harden.
Adopted.
That's it for me.
That's awesome. Councilmember White.
Thank you, Council President. I just want to piggyback off of my colleagues' comments related to the weather As we know, the challenge at first was moving it out the way, and we have still been dealing with the impacts of just the cold temperatures over the last 2 weeks. And I know residents have expressed concerns just related to water main breaks and leaks that have occurred, and so wanted to give the department a chance to provide an update on where things stand at this moment. So, Deputy Director.
Thank you, President Harden and Councilmember Weish, members of council. Yeah, the last 2 weeks have been very strenuous on our water maintenance distribution crews. Our 7 crews have been working 12-hour days, 7 days a week. Thankfully, due to the mayor's authorization of emergency spending, we were able to add 5 more crews to that. So we have 12 crews out working now to repair those lines. It's the cold. It's that extended cold that really slows us down. The staff is in trenches with wet gloves, and it just slows the process down. But with our 12 crews, we're getting ahead of it. Luckily, we've got some temperatures rising here. When I left the office today, we had completed 70 mainline breaks, about the same service line breaks too, and we're down to 6 ones we have to investigate. So we're glad to see that single digit finally appearing on future breaks to investigate. Big thanks to Public Service. Not only do they remove snow, we now know they can remove ice and lots of it. So thank you.
Thank you for that. And a big thank you to everyone at Columbus Water and Power and DPS for all the work that has been put in over the last 2 weeks. We as a city truly appreciate the time and attention that folks have dedicated to make sure that we can safely move about the city, safely drink the water that we bring in. So thank you for all the work that you all are doing as well. And glad to hear we're below single digits and every day getting better. So we're all praying for the deluge of water from snow melting on Wednesday when we hit hopefully 39 degrees. But we'll see if the snow is still around by the end of the week. So thank you. That's it for me, Council President.
Thank you, Councilmember. Well, I get the honor of bringing up all these athletes in the back of the room. So as I start to read, could the young men of the 8U and 9U level Legacy Youth come forward? These are champions, and I'll explain what they are champions of when they get up here. That's impressive. You want to sit that on the dais? Yeah, sit up there so folks can see it. You hear that clink clink? That's sounds like winners in here. Oh, we got 2 trophies? We might need to do 2 rows, actually.
Keep going down right there. Keep going down.
So as our young men are assembling, and parents, you can come up and get a better picture of our young champions. So these young men were the 2025 American Youth Football Division II National Champions. And national champions right from Columbus, Ohio. And they went down and they won this honor down in Naples, Florida last fall. These young men are from the 8U and the 9U level, and they're the Gators. This achievement reflects months of discipline, working with their coaches, working with their community. They represented us so well. We could not let this pass without bringing all of them down to celebrate them, to celebrate their coaches. Dominic, the work that you've done with not just these young men, but all the young boys that you work with, and then all the parents that we have in the back. It is enriching our community and really pouring into our future. And so we are so proud of each and every one of you for your accomplishment. I'm going to turn it over to Dominic, and then I'm sure a couple of my council members want to say some few words.
Yes. First off, man, I just want to give, can we give these young men a round of applause one more time, please? Thank you. Appreciate it. Yes. First and foremost, I want to say thank you to all of our city council members, for allowing us to be here today, taking time to recognize us, our student athletes and our organization is truly, truly means more than you know. I want to start off by also giving a special thank you to Councilman Nick Bankston, for his continued support of Legacy U from day one. I feel like, picking your brain and just actually following through. So I appreciate the support from day one and helping getting these young men year after year there. Also want to congratulate newly elected Councilwoman Tiara Ross. Thank you for your years of support and partnership and collaboration. Tiara first introduced Legacy U to the Community Immersion Program. So we were champions of that and still work with the Community Immersion Program today, bridging the gap between officers and our boys that's here today. Councilman Remy, thank you for always showing up, answering the phone, coming on the south side, to the buildings, et cetera. We really appreciate you and everything that you contribute to us as well. And lastly, but certainly not least, Council President Hardin, thank you for just believing in the vision from day one. As we stood before you, you always answered our phone. You've always shown up. You've never just talked the talk, but you've actually walked the walk. I think that we can appreciate that, and our families can as well. We're going to do push-ups. Relax. Catch a bubble. We're going to do push-ups. But we thought it was important to get our kids down here, to be quite honest. For many of our kids, this is their first time, and our family members, this is their first time in this building. Many of them have probably driven past here multiple times without really knowing what happens here or feeling like this space wasn't for them. But today, that changes. Today, they get a chance to see that this building actually belongs to them as well. We thought, obviously, too, that, not only are we just celebrating a championship, but it goes beyond the field. They're just 8 and 9 years old, but they're very impressionable. Right, they're developing who they are and what they want to be, and so being able to get them here again, it extends beyond just the sports because it's bigger than that. There are a ton of data that also supports that and show that young people who are engaged in extracurricular activities, specifically sports, teaches discipline, accountability, teamwork, resilience. There's also strong data points that shows that in sports specifically decreases young men's chances of being incarcerated. So the work that a lot of our coaches are doing, and they're not all here right now, our team moms, our team admins, this is the work that goes into making sure that they're able to be champions in life in general, right? So I want to make sure I show them love for that. We've been intentional about keeping kids engaged and creating structure, just holding up a standard. And we want to make sure we continue that, so we appreciate the collaboration. And I couldn't go by without thanking the Department of Neighborhoods, Director Douglas, Mr. Derrick, I think he's here right here as well, Karim, for trusting us, Nick Jones. I don't know if he had a chance to show up. He was busy, but Nick Jones from Children's, him and his team oversees and make sure we get over 300 wellness exams during the summertime, make sure our families don't have to get appointments. They can get shots to go back to school, whatever they need. So, it's truly taking a village, to get these boys here. Could all my parents stand up in the back? They are already recording. You aren't standing? Let's give them a round of applause. Fellas, give your parents a round of applause. Last thing I'll say about that, I think that, in this day and age where I think parent support is premium, something that we push, and I think sometimes, our young black and brown boys, not only do they don't get the recognition they deserve, but I think it's a picture that's painted that they don't have support. So I want to make sure that we are celebrating the adults that are putting in the time and energy and volunteering their time to make sure they're celebrated. So thanks for having us here today. We appreciate it.
Thank you, man. Thank you, Coach DJ, for what you do and all the coaches who have been pouring into these young men. You started off right, and that's why it is important to have the young men here today. We say that this is the people's house. If this is the people's house, then this literally is the people's living room. And it's where we come to have tough conversations, but it's also where we come to celebrate. And so it's so fitting, young men, that that this is yours, that this space, this community space, this building literally is here to make sure that you succeed and that you have everything you need to thrive in our community. And I hope you are feeling like you are taking up this space because it is yours. It is yours. And so we are so excited to have you here and so excited and so grateful that this was more than just a sport, but this was development that you have been given. And we're just really grateful. Do my colleagues have, Councilmember Bankson?
I'm going to be really quick. I just want to thank y'all because we got another team that didn't bring home a national championship, but y'all did it. So y'all the redemption. So we appreciate y'all for bringing national championship back to Columbus.
Thank you.
There's no shade to Ohio State. They're going to get there next year. But y'all delivered the two national championships to us, so we appreciate it. But no, congratulations, guys. And know this, I think DJ said it well. You have all of those folks in the back rooting for you, but you have all of these folks up here. We are rooting for you as well. We have your back. Just to know that when you go out and you do this, why we recognize it is because you're not just out there playing football. You're representing Columbus. You are ambassadors to the rest of this country. That's what you did. So you put your city on your back and know that we're going to continue to have your back as you guys matriculate through life. So make sure you listen to mom and dad, make sure you listen to Coach DJ, and make sure you're doing those push-ups so we can continue to bring home these championships. All right? Congratulations, guys.
Thank you.
That's how we make sure they listen to him, is doing those push-ups. What are you talking about? So first of all, I just wanted to say, echo what my colleague said. I love whenever young people come here. This is my absolute favorite because these are core memories that you're building. And I think that for the parents, for DJ, for your coaches, I think I'm the mom of 2 athletes. And first, to our parents, I see y'all. I know it's a lot to drive them to practices and fundraising that you have to do and travel that you have to do, especially with teams like this. And so I just want to say thank you to the parents for pouring into your young people and making that investment and making those sacrifices. And to all of the leaders of the program, I mean, this is, you know, sports give our young people an opportunity to be part of a community, and it teaches them such valuable life lessons, how to work with different kinds of people, how to push yourself, how to overcome obstacles, how to believe in yourself, how to continue to be inspired, how to move your bodies and understand the power that you have, both you, by yourself and then also collectively. And then to our young people who are here, I know y'all are antsy because this was a long meeting and all of it's not fun, but I just want to say thank you for blessing us today, because I think anytime that we have the opportunity to enjoy your success, right? That y'all went out to that field every day, you got to travel, you got to bring home this championship, but understand that all the people in this community are behind you and that we are rooting for you, and that this is one of many opportunities that I hope that you continue to take, because there's many opportunities that this community will offer to you that are yours for the taking, so that we continue to invest and pour into your success. So thank you and congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Sure.
So I just want to echo all the comments that my colleagues mentioned, and just shout out to the entire village that made this happen. I just want to see the bling. I see the rings. I ain't see them. If you can put them up, we got to see that. Yeah, y'all doing it big.
I'm echoing and concurring with all of my colleagues' comments, but I do, just to the parents and to DJ and to all of the facilitators who helped to make this happen, thank you for providing safety. That's what you are doing for our young people. You are providing safety to children who may not get it every day. So thank you for standing in the gap. I know that the work is difficult. I've talked to you about the difficulty of the work. Thank you for staying strong for our young people. Thank you, parents. Thank you, facilitators. Thank you to all of you for everything you do for our community.
And council members, we are giving each one of these young men a resolution, so signed by all of us to celebrate them as national champions for 2025. Could everybody stand and celebrate these young men? We need some We Are the Champion music. Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Miss Linda has everybody's certificates, right? There we go.
Give it to him.
What do you say? You can sing. Y'all can't let us hold on to those? No? We need like a Hall of Fame where we can put that on display here. Give them a few minutes to transition out. All right. Are there any other comments by our elected official offices from City Attorney's Office, Auditor, and Treasurer's Office? Seeing none, at this time, may we remove ordinance number 0074-2026 from the Housing, Homeless, and Building Committee? Are there any other requests by members of council for removal? Seeing none, may we now have a motion to waive the reading of title of 30-day legislation by the clerk? Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Akauer, Dorance Green, Remy, Ross, White, President Harden.
Thank you. Will the clerk now read into the record the ordinance numbers of 30-day legislation on tonight's agenda for first reading?
In Finance and Governance Committee, we have ordinances 111, 159, 164, 192, 219, 221, and 223-2026. In Public Service and Transportation Committee, we have ordinance 146 and 294-2026. Neighborhoods, Recreation, and Parks Committee, ordinance 118-2026. Health, Human Services, and Equity Committee, ordinance 312-2026. Public Safety and Criminal Justice, ordinance 213-2026. Housing, Homelessness, and Building Committee, ordinance 364-2026. Public Utilities and Sustainability Committee, we have ordinance 34, 40, 53, 60, 104, 120, 139, 141, 158, 162, 169, 174, 179, 186, 191, 194, 196, 215, 238, 244, 249, and 279-2026.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We don't have any speakers on the first reading portion of the agenda. The following ordinances appear on our agenda as consent action. Will the clerk please read those into the record?
Resolutions of expression 30X, 31X, and 29X-2026. In Finance and Governance Committee, we have ordinance 90, 129, 151, 163, 171, 181, 182, 200, 220, 233, 239, 282, 303, 306, and 386-2026. Economic Development and Small and Minority Business, we have ordinance 225-2026. In Public Service and Transportation Committee, we have ordinance 3502-2025, ordinance 45, 113, and 190 and 302-2026. Neighborhoods, Recreation, and Parks Committee, we have ordinance 335, 336, and 389-2025. We have ordinance 72 and 78, 79, 80, 119, 124, 125, 127, and 273-2026. In Workforce, Education, and Labor Committee, we have ordinance 150-2026. In Health, Human Services, and Equity Committee, we have ordinances 102, 176, and 201-2026. Public Safety and Criminal Justice Committee, we have ordinance 19, 15, and 289-2026. In Housing, Homelessness, and Building Committee, we have ordinance 83, 109, 115, 157, 224, and 284-2026. Public Utilities and Sustainability Committee, we have ordinance 3458-2025 and ordinances 38, 39, 44, 47, 51, 59, 91, 100, 117, 130, and 333-2026. And Rules and Policy Committee, we have appointments 16, 17, and 18-2026.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. If there are no questions or comments on the consent agenda, is there a motion to approve? Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Akauer, Dorance Green, Remy, Ross, White, President Harden.
Consent agenda is approved. Thank you, Madam Clerk. We'll now proceed with the second reading of 30-day postponed and emergency legislation. The first committee to come before council is the Finance and Governance Committee, chaired by Councilman Bangston. Councilman, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Council President. Tonight in the Finance and Governance Committee, we have ordinance 29-2026 to authorize the city auditor to appropriate and expend up to $4,598,972.20 within the debt retirement fund for reimbursement to the River South Authority to make lease payments, to authorize the city auditor on behalf of the Department of Public Service to expend up to $1,841,000 within the Mobility Enterprise Fund to the River South Authority to make lease payments. This ordinance is a routine annual appropriation that funds lease payments for several properties via the River South Authority, who manages several downtown properties slated for redevelopment that the city has a stake in. It's really more of a financing mechanism to repay back debt service for redevelopment efforts that the River South Authority is doing in conjunction with the city. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Akauer, Dorance Green, Remy, Ross, White, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. Next, we have ordinance 274-2026 to authorize the Finance and Management Director to associate all general budget reservations resulting from the ordinance and to establish various purchase orders for automotive parts for the Fleet Management Division per the terms and conditions of various previously established universal term contracts, to authorize the expenditure of $2,800,000 from the Fleet Management Operating Fund and to declare an emergency. This ordinance authorizes the establishment of purchase orders related to automotive parts for use by the Fleet Management Division. The Fleet Management Division fuels, maintains, and services City of Columbus vehicles. These parts are included in the terms and conditions of previously established universal term contracts and will be used to service and repair city vehicles. Seeing no questions or comments from my colleagues, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Akauer, Dorance Green, Remy, Ross, White, President Harden.
Passed.
And lastly, in the Finance and Governance Committee, we have ordinance 323-2026 to authorize the Director of Finance and Management on behalf of the Office of Construction Management to modify and increase the professional construction manager at risk service agreement with Gilbane Smoot for the new municipal court building project, to authorize an expenditure up to $10,988,461 within the Construction Management Taxable Fund and the Construction Management Capital Improvements Bond Fund to provide for payment of prevailing wage services to the Department of Public Service, to amend the 2025 capital improvements budget, and to declare an emergency. This ordinance authorizes a modification for an existing CMAR contract with Gilbane Smoot for demolition services related to the new municipal court building project. This represents the initial construction phase whereby the existing James A. Carnes building located at 410 South High Street will be demolished. This demolition, as well as certain modifications to the existing Franklin County parking garage, are necessary prior to construction of the new municipal court building. Future legislation will be advanced later in 2026 for site excavation and foundations. Construction of the new municipal court building will commence in 2026 and anticipated completion in early 2030. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Akauer, Dorance Green, Remy, Ross, White, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you, Council President. So I have my committees this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The next committee to come before council is the Public Service and Transportation Committee, chaired by Councilman Barosa de Padilla. Councilman, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Council President. I have 4 items on second read this evening in Public Service and Transportation. I'm very excited about these because the majority of these are meeting what people love the most, which is sidewalks, which meets all of our goals around around Vision Zero and ensuring that folks can move safely through their neighborhoods. So first is ordinance 0054, 2026, to authorize the city attorney to file complaints in order to immediately appropriate and accept the remaining fees, simple and lesser real estate necessarily to timely complete the UIRF South Linden Sidewalks 2017 project and to authorize an expenditure of $3,973 from existing ACDI 002495-10. The Urban Infrastructure Recovery Fund, or URIF, will support sidewalk installations in the South Linden area requiring city acquisition of property to allow DPS to timely complete the project. The city's acquisition of the real estate will help make, improve, or repair certain portions of the public right-of-way located in the vicinity of South Linden Avenue, which will open to the public without charge. So, my colleagues know this, UIRF grants usually take a while. You can see this one's from 2017, but we are finally here creating these sidewalks on portions of South Linden. There'll be more information to come. This is just so that we can obtain some of the public right-of-way so that we can build those sidewalks. Director, is there anything that you want to add to this particular ordinance?
Council President, Chair Barosa de Padilla, nothing to add.
Great, thank you. So do my colleagues have additional questions or comments? Very excited about sidewalks in South Linden. Seeing none, I move for passage.
Second.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Akauer, Dorance Green, Remy, Ross, White, President Harden.
Pass.
Thank you. Next, we have ordinance 0063, 2026, to amend the 2025 capital improvement budget to authorize the transfer of funds within the Streets and Highways Bond Fund, to appropriate funds within the Streets and Highways Bond Fund, to authorize the Director of Public Service to enter into contract with Complete General Construction Company for the pedestrian safety Wofford Street, Sharbot Drive, and Northtown Boulevard sidewalks project, to authorize the expenditure of up to $1,887,506 $85 from the Streets and Highways Bond Fund for the project and to declare an emergency. This project will install sidewalks on sections of Wofford Street, Sharbot Drive, and Northtown Boulevard using funds from the Streets and Highways Bond Fund. Installation of sidewalk will include curb ramps and drive approaches. So these sidewalks will begin near the Morse Center and run across Morse Road to nearby grocery stores and other businesses. Director, is there something you would like to add to this ordinance?
I would just add that this is a really important project that connects a lot of multifamily housing. It fills in some really important gaps to allow that housing to be, get supported by the businesses along Morse Road.
Yeah, especially when we see the density along Morse Road and giving folks a safe passage, especially if they're on, scooters, bikes, mobility devices, walking, even though we want them to be in the street, but I'm just thinking about kids and other folks. This just gives them a safe passage across Morse Road to get to those critical businesses to meet the needs of their families. Do my colleagues have additional questions or comments? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Akauer, Dorance Green, Remy, Ross, White, President Harden.
Pass.
Thank you. Next, we have 0073, 2026, to amend the 2025 capital improvement budget to authorize the Director of Public Service to enter into contract with Strasser Construction Incorporated for the resurfacing 2025 slurry seal crack seal project, to authorize the expenditure of up to $1,832,804.38 from the Streets and Highways Bond Fund for the project, and to declare an emergency. So this project will repair over 100 city streets, including crack sealing, asphalt repair, using funds from the Streets and Highways Bond Fund. This contract also includes the crack sealing of 86 city streets and slurry micro sealing of 27 streets and asphalt rejuvenation of 12 streets. Director, there's a lot of crack sealing, slurrying, asphalt. What do all those things mean in simple terms, and what can our residents expect?
Good evening again. All of those terms mean that we're doing preventative maintenance to make sure that our resurfacing lasts as long as we possibly can. All those little black lines that you might see drawn all over pavement, it's to keep the cracks from happening and water from getting into that pavement and, cracking apart. It just helps make our resurfacing last longer. So it's preventative maintenance.
Thank you. Also, I want to remind folks, we talked about this before, but especially now, because of the salt, because of the beet juice, because of other things that we use to treat the roads, you might see more potholes, you might see more things. Use 311 to report all of those. This is part of our previous resurfacing project, but we will address those bigger issues that we see after the winter kind of sweeps past us. We head into the spring so that we can then go back and make our roads safer for everyone. So do my colleagues have additional questions or comments? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Akauer, Dorance Green, Remy Ross Weiss, President Harden.
Passed.
Great. And this one I'm very, very excited about. Any Southsider who is here or who travels along one of our main arterials on the south side will be very excited as well. This is ordinance 0089-2026 to authorize the Director of Public Service to request that the Director of the Ohio Department of Transportation establish a reasonable and safe prima facie speed on Parsons Avenue from East Whittier Street to East Broad Street to repeal any and all speed limit ordinances and resolutions on said roadway. So this is about decreasing the speed limit from 35 miles per hour to 25 miles per hour on Parsons Avenue from East Whittier to East Broad Street. This authorizes our director to go back to ODOT. So Director, can you talk a little bit about why this portion of the street and how we came to lowering the speed to those 10 miles?
Good evening again. So this legislation is to reduce the speed limit, as you said, on Parsons Avenue to 25 miles per hour. This is part of our Vision Zero Columbus action to prioritize safety for everyone who travels along Parsons Avenue, whether you are walking, on a bike, driving, or taking the bus. We know that speed is recognized as the fundamental factor in crash severity. It's especially true for vulnerable road users like people walking and biking. This reduced speed limit on this section of Parsons will enhance safety, and it will align with the existing 25 mile per hour speed limit in place south of East Whittier Street. The city's lowering of the speed limit to 25 miles per hour along other corridors is reducing crashes. So I wanted to spend just a minute talking about where this has actually worked in other parts. Approximately a year ago, the speed limit on North High Street from Goodale Street to King Avenue through the short north was reduced to 25 miles per hour. Data collected for the same time frame before and after indicates the number of crashes dropped from 62 to 47 along that section of High Street. Similarly, when the city implemented a lower speed limit of 25 miles per hour through the downtown business district in March of 2023, we saw a drop from serious and fatal crashes that fell from 19 down to 9. So we've seen that this is working in other places. So our current Vision Zero action plan includes an important strategy to transform the built environment of our transportation system by reducing vehicle speeds. We continue to work with our Vision Zero partner, the Ohio Department of Transportation, to refine the speed study process so that more factors in urban environments are considered when this request is made to reduce a street's speed limit. For example, the presence of people walking and biking along a street are potential factors to weigh when studying a street for the recommendation to lower its speed limit. In coordination with ODOT, communities must perform engineering studies to reduce the speed limit as part of the process. Ohio Revised Code sets statutory speed limits for all roads. Our partnership continues to be with ODOT to create safe speeds and prevent serious crashes on Columbus streets. The lower speed limit on Parsons Avenue from Broad to Whittier will be implemented 30 days from this passage.
Thank you, Director. First, I want to pause. Do my colleagues have questions, comments? I just want to say, again, I want to thank you for your leadership, Director. I want to thank the department. This was a lot of advocacy from the folks who live along that Parsons Ave corridor, the businesses that live along there, or that are along that, well, they do live around there. But also, I know that we implemented some flashing beacon crosswalks along that area because of the density that that is there and the density that is coming, and we see the increased traffic. And so this is going to be a change for folks, but I know that there's been lots of advocacy. I mean, this is certainly a stretch that we have received lots of calls about and that folks have been concerned. And so I want to thank everyone for ensuring that this happens. I think as we talk about reducing speeds, it's not always easy, but we have done several speed reductions, even during my time as chair, in areas where we know that it won't make a difference, right, in those part of the high injury network. So again, I want to thank you for your leadership. In 30 days, we will let folks know about the changes that are coming to Parsons, about reducing that speed, so that they know as they're coming along that stretch of the road to slow down and to watch for that increased traffic of folks who are moving in a multitude of ways. So with that, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Akauer, Dorance Green, Remy Ross White, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. That's all for me this evening.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Next committee to come before council is the Neighborhoods, Recreation, and Parks Committee. That committee is chaired by Councilmember Deakar. Councilmember, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Council President. We have two exciting projects in our committee this evening, both having to do with connectivity and mobility in the city. Our first ordinance is 103-2026 to authorize the Director of Recreation Parks to enter into a grant agreement with the Central Ohio Transit Authority for design of the East Side Rail Trail project and accept a grant in the amount of $100,000 to authorize the appropriation of $100,000 in the Recreation Parks Grant Fund and to declare an emergency. The Eastmore Rail Trail will create a 17.5-acre linear park on the city's east side, spanning 3 miles through the Eastmore and Linwood communities along an abandoned rail corridor. Over 17,000 residents live within a few minutes of the abandoned corridor. 4 neighborhoods, 8 schools, and 6 parks are nearby. The rail corridor runs from East Broad Street to south of East Livingston Avenue, ending at I-70. After several years of negotiation with the owner, Recreation and Parks acquired the corridor in 2024 with Clean Ohio funds. The department has been working with the Mideast Area Commission, Whitehall, and regional transportation planners at COTA to integrate the Eastmore Rail Trail into the larger Transit and Central Ohio Greenway Trail network. This grant agreement legislation tonight includes important COTA Link Us grant program assistance of $100,000 for design of the trail and linear park. During the next few months, public engagement will be done, as well as coordination with rapid transit and new affordable housing developments occurring along the line. This legislation will provide $100,000 of Link Us Transit Supportive Infrastructure grant money to begin detailed design of the trail and the linear park. Construction of the first phase of the Eastmore Rail Trail is set to begin in late 2027. The first phase will be a 1.5-mile section from East Main Street near Barnett Road to East Broad Street. The East Main section will tie into a COTA Rapid Transit station. In 2027, the Link Us TSI Grant Fund will be providing an additional $1.1 million towards this construction. Construction of the entire Eastmore Rail Trail is expected to be completed by 2029. I'm extremely excited about this project. Not only does this project mean the city gets another linear park connecting neighborhoods, but it also demonstrates how the Link Us dollars that residents voted on in 2024 is going to more than just bus rapid transit. This project proves how committed we are as a city to investing in transit-supportive infrastructure, building these networks of connectivity to ensure residents always have options to get around our city, be it by bus, bike, or greenway. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Akauer, Dorance Green, Remy Ross White, President Harden.
Thank you. Next, we have ordinance 0126-2026 to authorize the Director of Recreation and Parks Department to enter into contract with Access Civil Construction LLC for the Alum Creek Trail Mock Road Connector Project, to authorize the transfer of $711,459.16 within the Recreation and Parks Voted Bond Fund, to authorize the amendment of the 2025 capital improvements budget, to authorize the expenditure of $3,917,709.16 from the Recreation and Parks Grant Fund and Voted Bond Fund, and to declare an emergency. Keeping with the theme of connectivity, this project aims to complete a 3.5-mile east-west pathway that would connect the Alum Creek Trail to I-71. The new 8-foot-wide paved path will stretch 1.2 miles starting at Alum Creek Trail at Sunbury and Mock Road, heading west and feeding into the new Hudson Street Greenway. This new connecting trail will link over 6,000 residents in northeast Columbus to our ever-growing trail system, putting them within 10 minutes of walking and biking connectivity to parks, schools, retail, and jobs. This project will be partially funded by a $485,000 grant from ODNR Clean Ohio Trails Fund. Construction is anticipated to be complete by summer 2027. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Akauer, Dorance Green, Remy Ross, Vice President Harden.
Thank you, Council President. That's all on my committee this evening.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next committee to come before council is the Workforce, Education, and Labor Committee. That committee is chaired by President Pro Tem. President Pro Tem, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Council President. I have ordinance number 0032-2026 to authorize Human Resources Interim Director to enter a contract with August 20 LLC in the support of professional services for the city's strategic roadmap and Central Service Department's modernization efforts, including the support of modernization standard of our citywide employee onboarding to waive competitive bidding provisions of Columbus City Codes, to authorize a transfer from the general fund to the employee benefits fund of $208,500, to authorize the appropriation of $208,500 with the employee benefits fund, to authorize the expenditure of $258,500 from the employee benefits fund, to authorize expenditure of $200,000 from the information services operating fund, or so much there may be necessary to pay the cost of said contract, and declare an emergency. This ordinance makes certain appropriations for a contract with August 20 as the city begins modernizations for its Department of Human Resources and other central services departments. Interim Director Martin is here to share with us a little bit more about this ordinance as well. Interim Director, floor is yours.
Good evening, President Harden, Council President Pro Tem Dorance, and other City Council. So we are requesting this legislation so that we can continue to implement the citywide strategic roadmap and improve coordination across the departments of Finance and Management, Human Resources, Technology, Civil Service, and the Office of Diversity and Inclusion. Essentially, this contract will replace the numerous contracts that we already have with one single contract that will support the city's central services departments, specifically in the areas of city strategy and operating system deployment, central HR and culture, enterprise change management, and Department of Technology, Talent, and IT portfolio. Additionally, we've had to pause some of the work that we've already started in 2025 that's been supported by August 20, and a new contract is necessary for us to start that again, so we don't want to miss important deadlines and dates that are critical to the success of citywide departments. Lastly, the waiving of a competitive bid will also ensure that the continuity of August 20's work in areas including the design and rollout of a central services support model and modernization of the city's employee experience can continue. Thank you.
Thank you, Interim Director. Any questions, my colleagues? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, I'm sorry, you have to amend as submitted to the clerk.
Oh, I apologize.
Thought about that.
I'd like to amend this minute to the clerk.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Akauer, Dorance Green, Remy Ross, Vice President Harden.
Amended.
Thank you. Now move for passage as amended.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Akauer, Dorance Green, Remy Ross, Vice President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you, Council President. All I have at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The next committee coming for council is the Health and Human Service and Equity Committee. That committee is chaired by Councilmember Green. Councilmember, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Council President. Tonight in our Health, Human Services, and Equity Committee, we have 3 ordinances on second reading. The first is Ordinance 0005-2026 to authorize the Board of Health to enter into a contract with Crosby Drugs, DBA CDI Long-Term Care LLC for pharmaceutical distribution services for the period of January 1st, 2026 through December 31st of 2026 to waive the competitive bidding requirements of the Columbus City Codes, to authorize the expenditure of $110,000 from the Health Department Grants Fund to pay the cost thereof, and to declare an emergency. Columbus Public Health has a need to provide tuberculosis medication distribution for clients receiving treatment from the Ben Franklin Tuberculosis Grant Program. These services are provided at CPH at 240 Parsons Avenue, and the contract runs from January 1st of this year through December 31st. Emergency designations needed as pharmacy services are currently ongoing with Crosby Drugs for patients that are currently in treatment, and a disruption to those services would be harmful to patients who are receiving care through the clinic. Are there any comments or questions from my colleagues? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Banks, Deborah, Rosa de Padilla, de Akauer, Dorance Green, Remy Ross, White, President Harden.
Our second ordinance tonight is Ordinance 0052-2025 to authorize the Board of Health to enter into initial contracts with the following qualified vendors: AIDS Healthcare Foundation, Equitas Health, Heart of Ohio Family Health Centers, the Resource Institute at Nationwide Children's Hospital, Columbus Neighborhood Health Center, DBA Primary One Health, and the Ohio State University to authorize the Board of Health to modify those contracts if portions of previously appropriated unencumbered funds are unused and reallocate unused funds amongst the initial vendors without the need for additional legislation for the Ryan White Part A HIV Care Grant Program for the provision of services allowable under the grant for persons with HIV or AIDS in Central Ohio, to authorize the expenditure of up to $3,149,139 from the Health Department Grant Fund to pay the cost thereof, to waive the competitive bidding and contract modification provisions of Chapter 329 of the Columbus City Codes, and to declare an emergency. Ryan White Part A providers service low-income individuals living with HIV who reside in Franklin, Madison, Union, Delaware, Morrow, Licking, Fairfield, and Pickaway counties. These providers deliver comprehensive HIV outpatient ambulatory care for treatment and viral suppression of HIV infection. Additionally, mental health and substance use services are accessible to help individuals navigate potential barriers that can lead to adverse health outcomes if left unsupported. As a network, these service providers also offer case management to help care coordination with clients and link them with identified social determinant of health needs, assistance with medical transportation, and wraparound support services, including emergency housing, utility, and food pantry assistance. Ordinance is submitted as an emergency, much like our last ordinance, to ensure quality medical care continues to be available with people without disruption and timely payment to providers. Are there any other comments or questions from my colleagues? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Bankston, Barosa de Padilla, de Akauer, Dorance Green, Remy Ross, White, President Harden.
Passed.
Oh.
Madam Chair, you're aware, we had a speaker on the first
Yes.
ordinance. Mr. Wilkins, Madam Chair, is it all right if we?
Please, let's return back. I apologize about that, Mr. Wilkins. So we will return back in time to Ordinance 0005-2026, accepting a contract into Crosby Drugs for support for pharmaceutical services. Mr. Wilkins, I'll turn the floor to you.
1612 Arlington Avenue, Mr. Lothan, George Wilkins, a 20-year resident of North Linden. I would be in support of this. I'd just like to see this for the term to start January 1st, 2026, all the way to December 31st of 2027 or 2028. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Mr. Wilkins. Okay. Our last ordinance is Ordinance 0106-2026 to authorize the Board of Health to enter into a contract with Imprivata, Inc. for software services for the period of February 1st, 2026 through January 31st of 2029 in an amount not to exceed $165,903. To authorize the expenditure of $165,903 from the Health Department Grant Fund, to waive the competitive bidding requirements of the Columbus City Code, and to declare an emergency. Columbus Public Health has a need for a single sign-on solution for user access for enhanced security to access the new Epic electronic medical record system. Essentially, essentially this funding, in layman's terms, to deviate from my notes here. So we've had a slew of legislation related to the new transition to the Epic medical record system that is being adopted at Columbus Public Health by a wide variety of their providers. This request is to help us assist through that transition so that CPH employees are able to access records through cloud-based systems, because this service is traditionally being provided through OSU, so there needs to be ability to integrate our side of providing care with their new system through Epic. And I don't know, Dr. Roberts, if you would want to say anything else about that. If anyone has any questions, we'll direct them to Dr. Roberts, and if not, I move for adoption.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Akauer, Dorance Green, Remy Ross, White, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you so much, Council President. That's all for me tonight.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think we will go ahead and break for zoning. Is there a motion to recess? Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Akauer, Dorance Green, Remy Ross, White, President Harden.
We are in recess. We'll reconvene after the directors rearrange.
upon a time, there was an old man. He went.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Akauer, Dorance Green, Remy Ross, White, President Harden.
Can I get a motion to dispense with the journal? Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Akauer, Dorance Green, Remy Ross, White, President Harden.
Are there any additions or corrections to the journal? Hearing none, the journal is approved. We'll now go to the zoning committee. Councilmember Dorance chairs that committee, and all members serve on it. Councilmember, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Council President. Before we begin tonight's agenda, first a little bit of housekeeping. Will the clerk please read the numbers of legislation in the zoning committee this evening that require waiver of second reading?
Under rezonings, we have ordinance 3000-2025, ordinance 242, 243, 276, 287-2026. Under variances, we have ordinance 3001-2025 and ordinances 275, 277, 283, 285, and 288-2026.
Thank you, Clerk. I now move to waive second reading on those items.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Akauer, Dorance Green, Remy Ross, White, President Harden.
Waived.
Thank you. Now allow me to briefly explain our rules. Speaking before council on rezonings and variances, we only hear a staff presentation for ordinances that have a disapproval from a recommending body, or if we have a public speaker assigned to speak against an ordinance. We permit 3 speakers on each side of an ordinance, 3 proponents, 3 opponents. We ask that speakers limit their remarks to 3 minutes per the standard rules of City Council. All speakers in the council variance, including city staff, area commissioners, applicants, and members of the public, will be sworn in before they give testimony. Representatives of the area commission are always able to speak on an ordinance. You do not need to fill out a speaker slip, but we do ask you alert city staff of your intentions to speak at this committee hearing. I will now, we do have 2 public speakers signed up to speak on legislation here this evening. On the advice of the City Attorney's Office, I will now swear in city staff. Please stand and raise your right hand and be sworn in. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you have to give shall be the truth, nothing but the truth, that you shall answer under pains of penalty of perjury? If so, please say I do.
I do.
Thank you. Please let the record reflect that Tim Dietrich and Alyssa Saltzman from the Department of Building and Zoning Services, Christopher Lohr from the Division of Planning, Dan Blushman from the Division of Traffic Management in the Department of Public Service, and Deputy Director for Housing Strategies, Aaron Prosser from the Department of Development have been sworn in. First, we have ordinance 3000-2025 to rezone 1100 Georgesville Green, being 1.87 plus acres, located in the northeast corner of Georgesville Green Drive and Hall Road, from LC3 Limited Commercial District to AR1 Apartment Residential District. The site consists of 1 undeveloped parcel, and the applicant requested rezoning will allow for a multi-unit residential development of up to 48 units. A concurrent council variance is included with this project and will be considered later on our agenda. Proposal has approval from City Staff and Development Commission, but a disapproval from the Greater Hilltop Area Commission. Due to that disapproval, we'll now hear a staff presentation, starting with Ms. Saltzman. Floor is yours.
Good evening, Chair Dorance, President Harden, members of council. The 1.87 acre site consists of 1 undeveloped parcel in the LC3 Limited Commercial District. The applicant requests the AR1 Apartment Residential District to allow for a multi-unit residential development. North and west of the site are single-unit dwellings in the R2 Residential District. East of the site are undeveloped parcels in the LC3 Limited Commercial District. South of the site are condominiums in the LARLD Limited Apartment Residential District. Companion CV 25-054 has been filed to vary the minimum building line along Hall Road to allow water vaults and hot boxes within the building setback, and commits to a site plan with up to 48 dwelling units. The site is within the planning boundaries of the Hilltop Land Use Plan, which recommends low, medium density residential land uses at this location. The requested AR1 district will allow multi-unit residential development that is compatible with the density and development standards of adjacent residential developments west and south of the site, of the subject site, and is aligned with the city's objective to provide more housing in all neighborhoods. Staff note that the existing LC3 district allows multi-unit residential units above first-floor commercial uses with no density limitation, and therefore City Department's recommendation is for approval.
Thank you, Ms. Saltzman. And just a couple clarifying questions to make sure everyone's following. So when we're talking about the change of designations here, so the current zoning district could potentially allow a project with with residential built into it. Again, if there was that first floor commercial space included, is that fair?
Yes.
And there's existing parcels that are either adjacent or very nearby that are also zoned for commercial purposes as well. Is that correct?
Yes.
Thank you. And you mentioned there's sort of the adjoining areas. There's both sort of diversity of, there's single-family zoning that's nearby, there's multifamily zoning that's nearby, and there's also some zoning that allows for condominiums there as well, correct?
Yes.
Thank you. Any questions from council colleagues at this time? Seeing none, we'll move on. Next, we have Mr. Christopher Laura from the Division of Planning. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair Dorans, President Harden, members of council. Planning is supportive of the proposal. Although the request exceeds the density of the Hilltop Land Use Plan recommendation of low-medium density residential, staff recognize the proposal's consistency with the plan's recommendation for residential, as well as existing multi-unit zoning to the west and south as mitigating factors. The site also currently is zoned for commercial uses, which is another factor in staff support. Additionally, Columbus citywide planning policies recommends that projects that are proposed at a density higher than the recommended land use may be supported if they include a high level of site and architectural design. The proposed site plan and elevations are consistent with C2P2 guidelines, therefore planning is supportive of the proposed use. I'll also note that this site is part of the Columbus Growth Strategy that recently passed, which recommended mixed use 1, which would have been consistent as well once that's in effect. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Laura, when we talk about mixed use, just generally, and I think this is as we head into the next phase of zoning, I think it's going to be something important for us to talk more about. You know, mixed use may mean residential and commercial or retail existing on the same property, but it also may mean only residential or only commercial or retail at those properties as well, right?
Correct. It can mean a mix of uses within a given site. It can mean a mix of uses typically along a corridor. It allows for the flexibility for the market to decide what's appropriate for a given location.
And you sort of stole my next question for you. So when you talk about that flexibility it's built in, it's more along the lines of, again, what is sort of market driven at that point. So again, rather than having sort of a bunch of regulatory red tape to say you can only do this or you only can do that, it's really allowing sort of that market to really drive what is viable on that site. Is that sort of a fair assessment?
Correct. Yes.
Thank you. Our next speaker will be Mr. Dan Bleshman from the Division of Traffic Management.
Thank you, Chair Dorans, President Harden, members of council. With regards to our review of this application, please be advised that this proposed development site is anticipated to generate 19 automobile trips, 5 entering and 14 exiting in the AM peak hour, and 24 automobile trips, 15 entering and 9 exiting during the PM peak hour. These traffic volumes are significantly below the threshold to require the preparation of a traffic impact study. Additionally, in consideration that access to this site will only be from Georgesville Green Drive, and in consideration that the intersection of Hall Road and Georgesville Green Drive already contains an eastbound left turn lane and a westbound right turn lane to service vehicles turning from Hall Road onto Georgesville Green Drive, there is not a need for a traffic access study to be performed for this proposed development site. Also, upon reviewing the anticipated traffic generation from this site, it is unlikely that this site would generate necessary traffic volumes to cause a traffic signal warrant to be met at the intersection of Hall Road and Georgesville Green Drive. With these comments noted, the Department of Public Service has no further concerns regarding this application, and I would be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Bleshman. Question from colleagues? Councilmember Green.
I do just have a quick question. If there's going to be 48 units of housing on the site, how do you arrive that there's only like 14 cars entering or exiting in the morning and 9 arriving in the morning? That just seems like kind of interesting math to the way that I would think about this.
Right. So, I'm sorry. That's based on empirical data from, nationwide data from Trip Generation, which is our manual of collected data. And so, basically it reflects that not everyone leaves and comes home at the same time. There's a window even, during, typical peak times. not all 48 units are going to have people leaving at the same time. And so that reflects the general average of sites, of multifamily sites.
What would you consider, what are peak times then?
Those are the peak times that
Well, but
I
what-
was
what
referencing.
time, you know,
I'm sorry. Typically 7 to 9 a.m. or 4 to 6 p.m. are typically the peak times we consider.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, Mr. Bushman? Mr. Bushman, could you talk a little bit about, so again, we have both two different kinds of traffic studies that are done. We have an access study, which is the lower bar based on the size of development, and then we have an impact study of much larger developments look beyond sort of the individual site, sort of more neighborhood-wise. In this case, there's not a traffic, access or impact study. Could you just mention again why that's the case here?
Generally, when we have a traffic study performed, we either are looking for quantifying those impacts or determining what types of improvements will be necessary to mitigate, for example, a site access point, whether there's turn lanes, whether there's elements such as traffic signals. So this is below that, and we have done our own internal evaluations of looking at the volumes, and that we have a comfort level with that without requiring the applicant to go through a step to hire a consultant, go collect traffic counts, prepare a report, which would likely give us the information we already know.
Thank you. Any other questions from colleagues for traffic? Seeing none, I will move on to Deputy Director for Housing Strategy, Ms. Prosser. Floor is yours.
Thank you. Chair Dorans, Council President Harden, members of council. The proposed rezoning of 1100 Georgesville Green in the Hilltop neighborhood supports the Columbus housing strategy by expanding housing options in a high-demand area where current housing infrastructure is not meeting the demand, which is increasing housing costs and destabilizing existing residents. The new units will relieve the pressure on the overall market and allow for more options for residents in the area, slowing growth in rents and home prices. Median home values in the zip code rose 10% faster than homes in the city of Columbus since 2020, and the rents are 9% higher in this zip code than in the city of Columbus, indicating a high-demand area in need of additional housing to slow that growth in housing cost. The bulk of the units in both the census tract and the zip code were either built between 1970 and 1979 or 1990 and 1999, with only 1.9% of the zip code homes in the zip code were built since 2020, despite the fact that the population has grown more than 7% since 2020, further constraining the existing housing infrastructure. The current vacancy rate in the census tract is just 1.7% compared to 5.8% in the zip code. Nearly half the renters, 47% in the zip code, pay more than 30% of their income on their household expenses, up from 43% in 2020, and nearly a quarter of homeowners with a mortgage exceed that affordability metric. This indicates a high desire for families to live in and remain in this area, resulting in cost-burdened families, which are at high risk for housing instability. Neighborhoods in high demand can either change the built environment or they can change their people and families. This neighborhood saw a 10% loss since just 2020 of families staying longer than 1 year in this census tract. The increasing mobility indicates a constrained market, and the result is the loss of existing residents in which would be relieved by the addition of housing units, especially rental units. New jobs are coming to Central Ohio, and a significant of those are along that 70 East corridor and along 270, in key job centers where employees will need a place to call home. Overburdened transportation networks are not the result of localized trip generation from an individual use, but instead are the result of employees facing ever longer commutes to access jobs. This adds to the economic and environmental and health costs to a community, not to mention the ensuing gridlock resulting from adding significant vehicle miles traveled to the transportation network. We see the negative outcome on city transportation networks when there's a significant spatial mismatch between where employees live and where they work. Adding housing near job opportunities is critical to managing the overall transportation system so that roadways are safe and functional. Excuse me. While housing scarcity will drive up housing prices throughout the region, in these locations of high demand, with expanding access to jobs, education, services, and amenities, we expect to see accelerated housing pressure as the market responds. Therefore, adding new housing in this neighborhood will be critical to ensuring housing stability for the current residents as well as continued access for new families. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Prosser. Any questions from my colleagues for Deputy Director? Seeing none, thank you. I will now invite the applicant's representative forward, Mr. David Hodge. Welcome back to council. Floor is yours, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair Dorans. Good evening. Council President Harden, council members, appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight. I think that if so much of what your staff just said is so spot on, I don't want to be overly redundant to really some of the great things that they just said. A few things, though, that I will add. The site plan that is a part of this companion council variance that's on the agenda later commits to the northern 25 feet of this property being either tree preservation or augmentation of landscaping to provide a really nice perimeter there between this apartment residential opportunity and the single-family residential to the north. Along that northern property line will also be a 6-foot board-on-board fence for additional buffering. This is also part of the city's CRA, and 30% of these units will be offered at 80% of the area median income, so there is an element of affordability that comes with this legislation. I think you heard Mr. Lohr talk a little bit about Zone N Phase 2 and this being in a mixed-use 1 category, so as that process continues to play out here through the summer and potentially early fall, the apartment residential use that is proposed here will be by right under this Phase 2. At least that's what the expectation is. Traffic is certainly an issue here that we heard from some of the neighbors on. And you heard from Mr. Bleckschmidt that there's adequate facilities here at Hall, turn lanes into Georgesville Green, and access to this site, whether it's commercial or apartment residential, is going to come from Georgesville Green here north of Hall Road. I can't remember which of the city staff made mention of the fact that it's currently zoned in an LC3 category. That LC3 allows a kind of a broad swath of commercial uses. It's always been my instinct, and I think I'm right about this, that those commercial uses that are allowed here by right, no process, no rezoning, no area commission, no development commission, no council, are more intense than the apartment residential that's proposed with this rezoning, and therefore potentially detrimental to the adjacent single-family residential, whereas this apartment residential developer has done everything they can, shifting the buildings to the south, making a commitment to a site plan, making commitments to buffering, committing to the building type consistent with the C2P2 guidance here, that I'm hopeful that a majority of council will see fit to approve this legislation. Certainly here with city staff support, does not have the Greater Hilltop Area Commission support, but did get a majority at the Development Commission. So we're here with 2 of the 3. I'll stop talking and close my mouth and open my ears if anybody's got any questions for me.
Thank you, Mr. Hodge. Question, my colleagues? See none. I'll call you back if there's any rebuttal.
Thank you.
Thank you. As I mentioned, we did have a speaker's time to speak on this ordinance. We have Commissioner Rick Kitchens from the Greater Hilltop Area Commission. Welcome to council, sir.
Good evening, President Harden, council members. Thank you for allowing me to speak. Chair Dorans. My name is Rick Kitchen. I am speaking to you from 3 different roles. 1, a neighborhood resident of Georgesville Green community. I am also an HOA volunteer trustee and of recent City of Columbus Greater Hilltop Area Commissioner, serving also on the zoning committee, as well as public safety and human services and education. I was born and raised here as a citizen of Columbus and have lived over 50 years in it. I've been an over 15-year single-family homeowner of the Georgesville Green community located off of Hall Road and Georgesville Green Road. We are a diverse community with 105 single-family homes on 32 acres in a mature, established neighborhood for over 24 years. Currently, we have one entrance and exit substreet that has over 200 to 250 resident vehicles that commute in and out of the community 24/7 on Georgesville Green Drive, running north and south, located in our community in order to egress out to Hall Road, which is a major thoroughfare which runs west to east for commuting purposes. Hall Road is used also by Columbus City as well as Southwest City school buses, various other small businesses, and warehouse deliveries. A rising opposition to the rezoning application from C3 to AR1 for the parcel that is 1.3 acres off of Hall Road and Georgesville Green Drive. The same application was declined unanimously before I became an area commissioner by the Greater Hilltop Area Commission Zoning Committee, and declined unanimously by the full GHEC Commission on a vote shortly after dozens of residents came before the committee and commission. Our biggest concern as a neighborhood community is safety due to the high density already existing on Hall Road. This new entity will create some backup on Georgesville Green Road going into and from Hall Road. It will endanger those that are walking on the sidewalk in the community as cars will go in and out of the apartment exits. The minimum amounts of parking stated would not hold up to the 75 to possibly 100 cars that possibly could be aligned for those 48 apartments. This would cause overflow on the street. We have many families with children in our community that 24/7 enter and exit, in which that happening will cause our children to have to watch very carefully while near this area, being 100 to 150 feet close to the Hall Road entrance and exit. There are also between 8 to 14 daily bus routes going in and out of our community and nearby drop-off points for students of Columbus City Schools as well as Southwestern City Schools. The applicant has stated that the impact of the neighborhood character and adjacent properties and the essential character of the neighborhood will not be altered by this building addition code change and the variances, nor will adjacent properties suffer any detriment. I must vigorously disagree with this statement. The Hilltop land use, which was adopted in 2019, says that this parcel should be developed for about 4 to 6 dwelling units per acre. This proposal is over 25 dwelling units per acre. This rezoning will adopt a 20th century zoning approach that segregates apartments to one area of town instead of developing neighborhoods with diverse housing stock. Along Hall Road and Georgesville Road to Norton Road, which is approximately 1.5 minutes.
Commissioner, you may finish.
Continue.
Yeah, absolutely.
There are currently 9 apartment complexes and 3 residential areas off of Hall Road and 2 small business strip malls near Norton Road and Hall Road, and 2 other businesses in a warehouse district nearby. Also, in the current apartment entrances that exit onto Hall Road, we would be the only substreet and only residential area that would have an apartment complex that's actually entering and exiting off of a substreet. Attempts have been made by fellow residents for new traffic studies to no avail. The last traffic study was actually in 2002. We also have a lack of parks, crosswalks, sidewalks on Hall Road, which is not very wide to some areas, and the overpass bridge over 270 is in somewhat disrepair. During the school year, the traffic is exacerbated by the amount of school buses that travel daily through our Georgesville Green community as well as the surrounding area. Every day is a challenge to enter or leave our community with a left turn on Hall Road. It is often dangerous, which is concern to the safety and security of our community. It is worse in the wintertime, especially of late. There have been 2 fatalities over the last 10 years in this area, along with an assortment of traffic accidents, 2 in the last 5 months alone on the corner of Georgesville Green and Hall Road. In place of the rezoning application of AR1, we asked the land to stay zoned C3 and R2 for commercial use. With commercial usage, we may be able to entice small businesses that could possibly impact and enrich ours and our surrounding communities' lives. Barring that, perhaps a park for the many families with children who live in the area. There is already a ravine and several types of wildlife where we could be able to preserve. This would be a positive ecological win, as our city's canopies are disappearing at an alarming rate. It was stated that one of our Columbus initiatives is to increase housing. However, each and every apartment community near us shows vacancy. We feel this parcel would be a great stepping stone opportunity by the Greater Hilltop Initiative for potential small businesses, local entrepreneurs, and community-based organizations. There are enough residents in our community that would be able to, would enable these businesses to thrive. So I say, in closing, council members, it comes down to the role of the area neighborhood commissions, which are residents that know and live in the community and who voice their opinion, and by following the process laid out by the City of Columbus, and then forward those recommendations to City Council to take into account, and how they are viewed by City Council when a vote must be made. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any questions from my colleagues for the Commissioner? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Seeing that, I will invite the applicant's representative if there's any additional comments you'd like to make after the Commission speak.
Thank you, Chair Dorans. Just briefly, to reiterate a few of the points that we previously made, which are, I think, contrary to the points we just heard from Mr. Kitchen. Certainly, we have the Greater Hilltop Plan, which is important, no doubt. But we also have a site that's zoned LC3 today that gives a certain family of use rights and lends to a certain intensity here on the property, and that is the law. The plan is a plan. The plan is a guideline. There was reference to diversity of housing stock, and I think what I heard was that this is not contributing to a diversity of housing stock, but it is absolutely contributing to a diversity of housing stock when you introduce this apartment residential opportunity here with the single-family residential to the north, with the single-family residential to the west, also some attached product, condo and apartments on the south side of Hall Road in this location. One additional item that came up was pedestrian infrastructure, and I failed to note previously that a shared use path is being installed on the southern side of this property at the north side of, along the north side of Hall Road to increase the pedestrian infrastructure here in the immediate vicinity to this development.
Thank you, Mr. Hodge. Any questions from council members?
Just one
Councilor
question, because I have the map put up here. In this project, Mr. Hodge, is there also going to be other improvements made to the roadway, any additional left turns or anything like that?
There will not be, and traffic is certainly something that we paid close attention to. We doubled down on the attention that we were paying to it when we got feedback that we got from residents and from the Greater Hilltop Area Commission. Worked hard with Mr. Bleckschmidt and his colleague, Daniel Moorhead, and the analysis from the professionals, I think, hinged on two separate things. Number one, that LC3 zoning says where the access point to the property is going to be here off of Georgesville Green, and that it is to serve a wide variety of commercial uses. Number two, the existing infrastructure here with the turn lanes, both westbound and eastbound here at Georgesville Green, is adequate to serve the development proposed here, 48 units, which 48 units next to the commercial uses that are allowed by right is a decrease in the intensity that would go on this, than would otherwise go on this property.
No, I appreciate that. I was just wondering because I see that looks like there's been recent upgrades to that intersection. And I think, Mr. Chair, maybe it's a question, Mr. Hodge, you kind of hit on it, but also my question was for our area commissioner around commercial usage, or maybe our traffic engineers could tell me. In my mind, a commercial use would probably have more transient traffic than a residential use. Is that correct, or am I off base there?
I'm just a zoning attorney, but I think the answer to that question is yes, but I'll defer to Mr.
And I don't
Bleckschmidt.
play a traffic engineer either. That's why we have traffic engineers here.
Yeah. Mr. Bleckschmidt, could you talk about that concept between, again, generally the amount of traffic that is generated by residential versus commercial developments? You know, and I think in particular, we've heard from folks within this community about the desire for more retail, so not necessarily office, but sort of, I think for comparison's sake, talking about the difference between an apartment residential development as far as the trips generated generally as compared to a, say, retail center of some sort.
Sure. I would generally say that a commercial site on the whole, would generate more traffic. There's lots of uses that are permitted, and there's definitely lots of uses that would be more intense than apartment residential. There could be some that are permitted that are lower, but definitely the opportunity for a higher intensity use from a traffic perspective would be there under the current zoning.
Thank you. Any other questions from my colleagues, either for the applicant's representative or the departments? Thank you. Appreciate the Greater Hilltop Area Commission being here with us tonight. I don't think this body ever enjoys disagreeing with our area commissions. We have a long track record of working very collaboratively and generally being in agreement on these projects that they move forward. Here in this instance, again, the question is sort of what is before the body. We have an existing zoning designation in which you could have commercial and residential happen on that property, which would exacerbate, I think, the concern around traffic. In a perfect world, I think there's lots of different ways to be able to approach this, but ultimately, it's the question of what is the current zoning designation and what is being requested of us here tonight. This essentially is a down zoning. This would create, again, from those that are concerned around traffic, in my opinion, based upon the experts here, certainly I am no traffic engineer, but I like to trust those that are, and certainly the data that comes along with them. This is an instance in which, if we are to believe the science here, there's actually less chance of more additional traffic compared to what could be developed under the current zoning designation. And because of that, the real question for us is, are we going to allow a small, modest increase in housing in an area that, again, according to Ms. Prosser, needs it, considering what the current vacancy rate is within that census tract right now, and the affordability that would come with this project. So for those reasons, I believe that this piece of legislation merits consideration by myself and my colleagues. Therefore, I move for passage by voice.
Clerk, please call the roll by voice.
Bankston. Yes. Barosa de Padilla. Yes. De Akauer. Yes. Dorans.
Yes.
Green. No. Remy.
Yes.
Ross.
Yes.
Weiss.
Yes.
President Harden.
Yes, the ordinance is passed.
Thank you. Next, we have ordinance 0242-2026 to rezone 5357 Cleveland Avenue, being .30 plus acres located in the southwest corner of Cleveland Avenue in Teakwood Drive from I Institutional District to CPD Commercial Plan Development District. Site consists of one parcel developed with a dwelling unit converted into office with requested rezoning to allow office uses, consistent with the Northland 1 Area Plan land use recommendation. Proposal is approved from City Staff, Development Commission, and the Northland Community Council. Do my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Bankston. Barosa de Padilla. De Akauer. Dorans. Green. Remy. Ross. Weiss. President Harden.
Thank you. Next, we have ordinance 0243-2026 to rezone 7825 Flint Road, being 1.12 plus acres located in the west side of Flint Road, 259 plus feet north of North High Street from R Rural District to CPD Commercial Plan Development District. Site consists of two parcels, each developed with a single unit dwelling, with the applicant's request to rezone to allow commercial development, including a private parking lot on the eastern parcel. Proposal is approved from City Staff, the Development Commission, and the Far North Columbus Communities Coalition. Let the record reflect, we did have a speaker that signed up to speak on this ordinance, but that speakership has been withdrawn. Do any of my colleagues have questions or comments? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Bankston. Barosa de Padilla. De Akauer. Dorans. Green. Remy. Ross. Weiss. President Harden.
Thank you. Next, we have ordinance 0276-2026 to rezone 2575 West Dublin Granville Road, being 27.27 acres plus, located on the south side of West Dublin Granville Road at the terminus of McVeigh Boulevard from M2 Manufacturing District to LAR1 Limited Apartment Residential District and LAR12 Limited Apartment Residential District. Site consists of one undeveloped parcel with an applicant requested rezoning to allow this development of an apartment complex with a maximum of 336 dwelling units on the eastern parcel and a townhouse development with a maximum of 138 dwellings on the western parcel for a total of 474 new dwelling units. A concurrent council variance will be considered later on agenda for this legislation as well. Proposal approved from City Staff, Development Commission, and the Northwest Civic Association. Do my colleagues have questions or comments? Seeing none, I move to admit. Yep. Councilmember White.
Just on this project, traffic, are we able to speak to the traffic study and what was done, what is being proposed. I know that many of the residents in the area do not live in the city of Columbus, but have expressed concern, which is why they're not here today.
Thank you, Councilmember. Mr. Bleshman.
Thank you, Chair Dorns, President Harden, members of council. In regards to our review of this application, please be advised that this proposed development site triggered the preparation of a traffic impact study that was reviewed and approved by the Ohio Department of Transportation, which has jurisdiction of the study area. Resulting from this traffic impact study, developer commitments to mitigate additional traffic volumes generated by this proposed development site have been established to perform turn lane widening along West Dublin Granville Road and to install a traffic signal at the intersection of West Dublin Granville Road and McVeigh Boulevard. These commitments are included in the limitation text with this proposed ordinance. With these comments noted, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Bleshman. Councilmember White, should that answer your question?
It does. And so it sounds like a light will be at that intersection to kind of deal with the traffic issues related to getting on and off McVeigh and going through 161.
Correct. The developer will be required to install a traffic signal at that intersection.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you both. Any other questions by council colleagues? Seeing none, move to amend as submitted to the clerk.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Akauer, Dorance Green, Remy, Ross, White, President Harden.
Thank you. I move for passage as amended.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Akauer, Dorance Green, Remy, Ross, White, President Harden.
Thank you. Next, we have ordinance 0287-2026 to rezone 1981 South High Street, being 16.41 acres plus acres located on the west side of South High Street, 565 plus feet south of Hossack Street, from M Manufacturing District to the ARO Apartment Office District. Site consists of 5 parcels developed with a variety of industrial uses, and the applicant requested rezoning to allow for a multi-unit resident development of approximately 455 units. A concurrent council variance request will be considered later in tonight's agenda. The proposal is approved in City Staff Development Commission and the Columbus Southside Area Commission. Any questions or comments from my colleagues? Seeing none, move for passage.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Akauer, Dorance Green, Remy, Ross, White, President Harden.
Thank you. Next, we move into the council variances portion of our agenda. First, we have ordinance 3001-2025 to grant a variance provisions of section 3333.18 building lines of Columbus City Codes for the property located at 1100 Georgesville Green to allow reduced building setback line for apartment complex in the AR1 apartment residential district. This is the concurrent council variance request. The rezoning were heard earlier in our agenda. The requested council variance proposes, again, a 48 apartment complex reduced building setback line along Hall Road and a commitment to develop the site with submitted site plan. Again, proposal is approved from city staff, but it is approved from the Hilltop Area Commission. Again, these are just individual variances regarding that site. It's my understanding that Commissioner Kitchens is not interested in testifying in this portion of the variances. We'll pause to see if any of my colleagues have any questions about the specific variances. So again, we passed the rezoning earlier in the agenda. This again is just regarding the variances to the site plan. So any questions from my council colleagues on the variances? I will offer the applicant's representative if he would like to testify. Thank you. Seeing none, I first move to accept the entire staff report into evidence as an exhibit by voice.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Akauer, Dorance,
Yes.
Green,
Yes.
Remy,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
White, President Harden.
Thank you. And next move to adopt the findings of staff as the findings of council by voice.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Akauer, Dorance, Green. You're not gonna?
That
Okay.
was my fault.
Okay. All right, so Bangston. Barosa de Padilla. De Akauer. Dorance,
Yes.
Green. Did you say something? Did you? I didn't hear you. Okay. Remy. Ross. White. President Harden.
Thank you. And finally, move for passage by voice.
Bangston. Barosa de Padilla. De Akauer. Dorance.
Yes.
Green.
No.
Remy. Ross. White. President Harden.
Passed. Thank you, Council President. Next, we have ordinance 0275-2026 to grant a variance provisions to section 3332.035 R3 Residential District, 3312.21 Landscape and Screening, and 3312.27 Parking Setback Line, 3312.49C Required Parking, 33321.05 B12 Vision Clearance, and 3332.05 Area District Lot Width Requirements, 3332.13 R3 Area District Requirements, 3332.21 Building Lines, 3332.25 AB Required Side Yard, 3332.27 rear yard, and 3332.28 obstruction in a required side yard. The Columbus City Codes property located at 506 Miller Avenue to allow a mixed-use development with reduced development standards in the R3 residential district. Site consists of one undeveloped parcel. A future lot split has been proposed that will result in 3 new lots, with a council variance allowing 2 unit dwellings on Lot 1 and Lot 2, and a mixed-use building containing 2 dwelling lots and approximately 1,000 square feet of office and retail on Lot 3. Additionally, 2 parking spaces for Lot 2 will be provided on Lot 1. A council variance is required because the current zoning district only allows single-unit dwellings as a primary residential land use and does not allow office, retail, or accessory parking uses. Variances, landscaping, screening, and parking setbacks, required parking, vision clearance, lot width, lot area, building line, side yard, rear yard, and side obstruction are also included in this request. Proposal is approved from city staff and the Near East Area Commission. Any questions or comments from my colleagues? Seeing none, I move to accept the staff report and new evidence as an exhibit.
Banks, Denver, Rosa de Padilla, de Akauer, Dorance Green, Remy Ross, White, President Harden.
Accepted.
Thank you. And next, move to adopt the findings of staff, the findings of council.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Banks, Denver, Rosa de Padilla, de Akauer, Dorance Green, Remy Ross, White, President Harden.
Adopted.
Thank you. And finally, move for passage.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Banks, Denver, Rosa de Padilla, de Akauer, Dorance Green, Remy Ross, White, President Harden.
Pass.
Thank you. Next, we have ordinance 2077-2026 to grant a variance provisions of section 3309.14A, height district 3333.18 building lines, 3333.255 perimeter yard, and 3333.41H standards, the Columbus City Codes for the property located at 2575 West Dublin Granville Road to provide reduced development standards for a multi-unit residential development in the LAR1 Limited Apartment Residential District and LAR12 Limited Apartment Residential District. This concurrent variance for a rezone we considered earlier for a multi-unit residential development totaling 474 units. The request includes variances in building height, building lines, perimeter yards, and private streets. Proposal is approved from city staff and the Northwest Civic Association. I first move to accept the entire staff report into evidence as an exhibit.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Banks, Denver, Rosa de Padilla, de Akauer, Dorance Green, Remy Ross, White, President Harden.
Accepted.
Thank you. Next, move to adopt the findings of staff, the findings of council.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Banks, Denver, Rosa de Padilla, de Akauer, Dorance Green, Remy Ross, White, President Harden.
Adopted.
Thank you. And next, move to amend and submit to the clerk.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Banks, Denver, Rosa de Padilla, de Akauer, Dorance Green, Remy Ross, White, President Harden.
Amended.
Thank you. And finally, move for passage as amended.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Banks, Denver, Rosa de Padilla, de Akauer, Dorance Green, Remy Ross, White, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. Next, we have ordinance 0283-2026 to grant a variance provisions of section 3361.02 permitted use of the Columbus City Codes for the property located at 711 Park Road to allow exercise and gym uses in a CPD commercial plan development district. This site is developed with a former pharmacy and drugstore, and the requested council variance will allow the existing building to be repurposed into an exercise and gym facility. A council variance is required because the current zoning district only allows pharmacy and drugstore uses in addition to accessory uses. Proposal is approved from city staff and the Far North Columbus Coalition, Communities Coalition. Any questions or comments from my colleagues? Seeing none, I first move to accept the entire staff report into evidence as an exhibit.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Banks, Denver, Rosa de Padilla, de Akauer, Dorance Green, Remy Ross, White, President Harden.
Accepted.
Thank you. Next, we do adopt the findings of staff, the findings of council.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Banks, Denver, Rosa de Padilla, de Akauer, Dorance Green, Remy Ross, White, President Harden.
Adopted.
Thank you. And finally, move for passage.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Banks, Denver, Rosa de Padilla, de Akauer, Dorance Green, Remy Ross, White, President Harden.
Pass.
Thank you. Next, we have ordinance 0285-2026 to grant a variance provisions of section 3332.02 R Rural District, 3332.06 R Rural Area District Requirements, and 3332.22 building lines on corner lots exceptions, and 3332.25 A1 required side yards, Columbus City Codes for the property located at 2210 Jewett Drive to allow 2-unit dwelling on 6 lots with reduced development standards in the R Rural District. Site consists of 6 undeveloped parcels. A council variance is required because the current zoning district only allows single-unit dwellings, while the applicant proposes to construct a 2-unit dwelling on each lot. Variances to lot size, minimum side yard are also included in this request. Proposal approved from city staff and the Northland Community Council. Do my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move to accept the attached staff report into evidence as an exhibit.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Akauer, Dorance Green, Remy Ross, White, President Harden.
Accept it.
Thank you. And next, move to adopt the findings of staff as the findings of council.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Akauer, Dorance Green, Remy Ross, White, President Harden.
Adopt it.
Thank you. And finally, move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Akauer, Dorance Green, Remy Ross, White, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. And finally, we have ordinance 0288-2026 to grant a variance provision section 3312.21B landscaping and screening, 3312.27 parking setback line, 3312.49 required parking, and 3321.01 dumpster area, and 3333.18 building lines, and 3333.255 per yard of the Columbus City Codes for property located at 1981 South High Street to allow reduced development standards and multi-unit residential development in the ARO Apartment Office District. This is a concurrent variance for the rezoning we heard earlier tonight's agenda to allow for a multi-unit residential development of approximately 455 units. This council variance request includes variances to parking lot screening, parking setback, required parking, dumpster area, building lines, and perimeter yard. Proposal is approved from city staff and the Columbus Southside Area Commission. I first move to accept the entire staff report into evidence as an exhibit.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Akauer, Dorance Green, Remy Ross, Vice President Harden.
Accept it.
Thank you. And next, move to adopt the findings of staff as the findings of council.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Akauer, Dorance Green, Remy Ross, Vice President Harden.
Adopt it.
Thank you. And finally, move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row. Is there a
Bank-
second?
Yeah, there was a second.
Okay. Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Akauer, Dorance Green, Remy Ross, Vice President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you, Council President. All we have in tonight's zoning agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Is there a motion to adjourn? Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Akauer, Dorance Green, Remy Ross, Vice President Harden.
Meeting is adjourned. We'll reconvene regular meeting in 5 minutes.
Bangs, Denver, Rosa de Padilla, De Akauer, Dorance Green, Remy Ross, White, President Harden.
We are back in meeting number 5. The next meeting to come, the next committee to come before council is the Public Safety and Criminal Justice Committee. Committee is chaired by Councilman Remy. Councilman, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Council President. Tonight in Public Safety and Criminal Justice, we have 4 ordinances. The first ordinance is 3412, 2025, to authorize the Director of Public Safety to enter into contract with Crosswalk, Inc. for the Crosswalk to Care program. So tonight, I'm excited to introduce this legislation that I believe is a significant win for the City of Columbus and our residents. This is something I've been working on along with the mayor and Director Pashati, our Division of Fire, and our public safety partners, and I want to thank them for the collaboration to get us all here tonight. It's rooted in the simple idea that when someone calls 911 for a medical issue, they're not asking for a specific response, they're asking for help. So this ordinance authorizes Crosswalk to create a nurse health care navigation line within our 911 system, what I often describe as a concierge approach to healthcare. So we can answer every medical call the right way every single time. Last year, the Division of Fire responded to in 2024, nearly 145,000 EMS calls. That's roughly 400 medical calls every single day. And many of those calls didn't require emergency treatment, but they did require care, guidance, and support. Under this program, when a call meets clear clinical criteria, callers can be connected to a registered nurse who will help guide them to the most appropriate next step, whether that's urgent care, primary care, telehealth, pharmacy support, behavioral health services, transportation assistance, or safe self-care at home. And if at any point it is determined to be an emergency, the call is immediately routed back to EMS. That means better outcomes for our residents and ensures our ambulances and paramedics are available when seconds truly matter. Importantly, this contract with Crosswalk comes at no cost to the city, and residents will be served regardless of their insurance status. The Division of Fire anticipates this service being up running later this summer, and so I'm excited about what this means for how Columbus shows up for our residents. Are there any questions or comments regarding this legislation this evening? If none? Oh, Councilmember Green. Sure. That's why I asked.
I just want to take a moment. I feel like this is a really important piece of legislation. I feel like this is really important work. It's a way that we can really step up and serve our residents in the way that they need it, in the way that they're asking to be served. So I think it's responsive to community need. So I just really want to take a minute to shout you out, Chair, for your work on getting this across the finish line, to the Department of Public Safety. And then I especially wanted to call out, this wouldn't have been possible without our recently retired fire chief, Chief Happ, and his leadership and the team at the Columbus Division of Fire, who I know have been dreaming about this for a really long time. I've been thinking about how can we innovate in the way that we are caring for people. How can we prevent people from needing to call us by being able to provide them the right service when they contact us? How can we mitigate, social determinants of health that influence people's physical health care? And so I just wanted to take a moment to make that comment and commend the Division of Fire specifically for always answering the call, no matter who it is, and working really hard to be innovative and providing the right type of assistance for every call.
Thank you very much, Councilmember. Councilmember Barosa.
Chair, I just also wanted to recognize that there was significant resident advocacy towards this as well, ensuring that I think that, one of the principles of, I was a community organizer for many, many years, and one thing I learned early on is to ask people what they need, right? To first ask people what they need. And I think that ensuring that folks get what they need when they need it and they're getting that right response is about their safety. It's about the safety of our first responders. It's about ensuring that all of the needs are met for all of the community. And I just want to acknowledge all of the hard work from everyone who has put this effort forward, just because I think that it shows that as a community, I mean, people grow, evolve, and change, and so does the community. And so ensuring that we are doing our jobs to meet community needs means that we need to grow and evolve as well, and think about our resources and think about how we are best serving the community. So I feel like, I say this often, but I think when we get to this side of the dais, especially when we have lots of pieces of legislation, that sometimes we have big things that happen that we need to pause on, even if the meeting is going longer or it's later into the evening, just because this is incredibly important work that is responsive to what our community needs now, and they've needed for a really long time. And so I don't want that to fall through the cracks. So I want to say thank you to the department, but also thank you to all of our community advocates that have been asking for this for a really long time. So thanks for your leadership.
Thank you so much. And this is happening in Washington, D.C., Baltimore, Indianapolis. I mean, these are the next level of care. It's about meeting our residents where they are and making sure that the help they're actually getting helps. And so excited to move for passage.
Second. Congratulations, Councilman Brenner. You've advocated for this for a long time, and it's good to see you push this over, because at the end of the day, our residents are our clients, and they should get the best service when they call, and will make it better. So thank you. Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcala, Dorrance Green, Remy, Ross, White, President Harden.
Pass. Thank you very much. Next, we have 149-2026 to authorize the Director of Public Safety to enter into contracts with KNS Services, Inc. for maintenance services for neighborhood safety cameras, waive competitive bidding, authorizes $285,000 from the general fund, and to declare an emergency. So as part of our comprehensive approach to preventing and fighting crime in Columbus neighborhoods, the Department of Public Safety utilizes safety cameras in various neighborhoods. The original contract for this was signed in 2011 to design and install safety cameras in just 5 original neighborhoods. The program has since evolved to over 300 cameras in 100 locations throughout Columbus neighborhoods. So this authorization is to enter into contract to perform full service preventative maintenance, repairs, and upgrades on these cameras, as well as any new systems that may be installed during the life of the contract. Competitive bidding is requested to be waived due to KNS's specialized knowledge within this camera network and experience needed to provide the services. This is the current vendor that they're using, so therefore that was the request. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcala, Dorrance Green, Remy, Ross, White, President Harden.
Next, I have 269-2026 to authorize $1,515,071.61 from the unappropriated balance of the Police Continuing Professional Training Fund for Division of Police, continuing professional training, to declare an emergency. In 2007, the state of Ohio enacted mandatory continuing professional training for all Ohio peace officers. The Columbus Division of Police has fulfilled this mandate every year, and as a result, the city receives funds from the state of Ohio in 2025 for their mandated training in 2025. This legislation appropriates those funds into the Police Continuing Professional Training Fund. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcala, Dorrance Green, Remy, Ross, White, President Harden.
And finally, tonight I have 299-2026 to authorize the city attorney on behalf of the Department of Public Utilities to enter into contract with Edelson PC for specialized legal counsel services regarding legal action pertaining to the lead water service lines that are or were within the city's drinking water infrastructure, and to declare an emergency. Through this legislation, the city of Columbus is exploring various legal options that may be available to investigate and assess potential claims of harm caused by the lead water service lines. The vendor, who would be contracted at no cost, is a plaintiff's law firm that has expertise in environmental litigation. Any potential litigation resulting from the legislation would be directed towards water service line manufacturers. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcala, Dorrance Green, Remy, Ross, White, President Harden.
Thank you, Council President. That is all I have this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Next committee to come before council is the Housing, Homelessness, and Building Committee. Councilmember Ross chairs that committee. Councilmember, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Council President. We have several pieces of legislation coming out of the Housing, Homelessness, and Building Committee. The first four ordinances are really important, so I'm going to talk a little bit about them and then turn it over to Director Prosser to give some more information, but they constitute nearly $7 million in debt forgiveness that we are authorizing the Department of Development to forgive. This was debt incurred through the deployment of federal home entitlement funds. This is a tool that has been used to really deliver on the promise of home ownership, affordable home ownership for residents in our community. And so sometimes these lease to purchase debt forgiveness deals are hard to understand by the layperson. And so I am going to ask Director Prosser to really explain kind of the mechanics of the home loans, how they have been deployed by the Department of Development, and how the department has used those loans as a tool to create opportunity for affordable home ownership to residents in our community.
Certainly. Thank you, Chair Ross, Council President Harden, members of council. This is one of those great opportunities to talk about how long the city's been investing in affordable housing. These are projects that were included in our city some 20 years ago. They were making those investments around the rental and affordable home ownership. The ordinances tonight represent the important transition for these projects and for these families. By forgiving the loans originally made to the properties, we're able to unlock that affordable home ownership opportunity for families who've been renting the homes. These homes were, the loans were issued decades ago through the Federal Home Investment Partnerships Program to help build affordable homes. And at the time, the projects were intentionally designed to operate first as affordable rental housing and then later give residents a chance to buy the homes they'd been renting once affordability requirements were met. We're now at that moment, and by forgiving the loans, the city is allowing the families to begin the process to move from renter to homeowner. The affordability criteria remains, and the homes will be sold to families earning below 80% of the AMI, and if the family is not yet ready for homeownership, they can remain in the affordable rental unit. These properties are among the first of these types of investments to reach this milestone, and we're excited about the opportunity to build on the impact of affordable rental and place-based neighborhood revitalization the program initially delivered, and now to realize the full impact of the investment by giving families access to affordable homeownership. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Director. And each ordinance is actually related to a particular housing development that was offered these home loans, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
And if the city did not authorize the department to forgive these loans, what would that mean for the resident?
And these were dollars that were put into the project initially. It makes it extremely difficult to deliver the affordability when these kinds of dollars are still attached to the project. And so the ability for the city to forgive those dollars really opens up that opportunity for those below 80% AMI current residents to be able to purchase the homes and move out of renting and into home ownership.
And do you think that same result would occur if the city decided to require the housing provider to incur the debt rather than the city?
No, I think it is a significant amount of investment we made on the front end. And again, the intention being that it delivered that affordable rental project for the first period of affordability, but also was a pretty big investment in these neighborhoods and really bringing folks back into these communities. It really served that purpose. The impact of those dollars is very meaningful, but in order to move forward and allow these folks to enter affordable home ownership, and again, that's where the mortgage payment they're paying will be affordable to them at their income below that 80% AMI level. It's extremely difficult to deliver that today, given our housing market. And so this is one of those unique opportunities that we'll see over the next couple of years as a lot of these projects mature that were invested in the early 2000s and 2010s. We'll start to see that conversion, and it will be that opportunity to really return those to those families.
Thank you, Director. Any other questions from my colleagues? All right, with that, I'm going to read. Clerk, can I do this? Can I read all four, read each one, and then move for passage on each one? All right, here we go. First ordinance is 0081-2026 to authorize the Director of the Department of Development to forgive the principal and accrued interest on a unit-by-unit basis for Fairview Homes Limited Partnership on a home loan due to the City of Columbus more than $1,982,895.03 as homes are sold to existing tenants or low-income home buyers to reduce the interest rate on the current balance of the loan to zero. Move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Akauer, Dorance Green, Remy Ross, Vice President Harden.
Passed.
We have 0082-2026 to authorize the Director of the Department of Development to forgive the principal and accrued interest on a unit-by-unit basis for Level Green Homes LLC on a home loan due to the City of Columbus totaling approximately $1,300,620.85 as homes are sold to existing tenants for low-income home buyers to reduce the interest rate on the current balance of the loan to zero. Move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Akauer, Dorance Green, Remy Ross, Vice President Harden.
Passed.
Next, we have 0110-2026 to authorize the Director of the Department of Development to forgive the principal and accrued interest on a unit-by-unit basis for Kingsford Homes Limited Partnership on a home loan due to the City of Columbus in excess of $1,462,067.13 as homes are sold to existing tenants or low-income home buyers to reduce the interest rate on the current balance of the loan to zero. Move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Akauer, Dorance Green, Remy Ross, Vice President Harden.
Passed.
And finally, 0116-2026 to authorize the Director of the Department of Development to forgive the principal and accrued interest on a unit-by-unit basis for Southside Homes Limited Partnership on a home loan due to the City of Columbus totaling approximately $2,134,432.21 as homes are sold to existing tenants or low-income home buyers to reduce the interest rate on the current balance of the loan to zero. Move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Akauer, Dorance Green, Remy Ross, Vice President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. And the next ordinance coming out of the committee is really related to an ordinance we passed during the Snowmageddon meeting. It is to fund the contract for a roof replacement contractor that is helping our residents get roof repair when they need it. So this is ordinance number 0161-2026 to amend the 2025 capital improvement budget to authorize the transfer of funds within the Affordable Housing Taxable Bond Fund, to authorize the Director of Development to enter into a service contract with Revere Roofing Company Incorporated for the Division of Housing's roof replacement program in an amount up to $150,000 using Affordable Housing Taxable Bond funds to waive the provisions of Columbus City Codes Section 111.14 and 329.09, to authorize the transfer and expenditure of $150,000, to authorize the Director of Development to enter into grant agreements, including modifications if necessary, with homeowner participants in the roof replacement program if the total grant amount is greater than $5,000, all without having to return to City Council for each project under the roof replacement program, to authorize reimbursement of expenditures incurred prior to the creation of a purchase order from and after January 1st, 2026, to waive the competitive bidding provisions of Columbus City Code, and to declare an emergency. Move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Akauer, Dorance Green, Remy Ross, Vice President Harden.
Passed.
And finally, we have ordinance number 0245-2026, and I'm certainly proud and honored to work alongside Council President Harden, and I wanted to acknowledge his leadership and commitment to thinking creatively about the future of our housing landscape and the holistic needs of our residents. I am going to read the ordinance, and then I will pass it to Council President for comments. It is to create a Yes in God's Backyard pilot program and to authorize the directors of the Departments of Development, Building, and Zoning Services, Public Utilities, and Public Service to promulgate rules and regulations as necessary to implement and administer that program. With that, I'll turn it to Council President.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and it has already been a pleasure to be your vice chair of this committee and work even on this piece of legislation as we advance it, and certainly to the Department of Building and Zoning Services, Department of Development, and all those who have had a part to play in 0245-2026. Tonight, I'm proud to bring forward this ordinance which establishes the Yes in God's Backyard pilot program within the city's housing division. This legislation starts from a simple premise. We have a responsibility to use the resources that we already have wisely and intentionally to meet the needs of our growing city, especially when it comes to affordable housing. There's a passage in Scripture that feels especially relevant this evening. In the Gospel of Matthew, Jesus teaches us that for where your treasure is, there also is your heart. For many of our faith-based partners, that verse speaks directly to their mission, to the idea that the resources that they steward, including land, should reflect their deepest commitments to service, to compassion, and to care for their neighbors. The YIGB program creates a pathway for churches and faith institutions whose hearts are already in community to use their assets in ways that live out those values. This is stewardship not just in belief, but in action. Across Columbus, faith-based organizations across schools and nonprofit institutions own land that has long served their communities. In many cases, that land is underutilized or could be thoughtfully repurposed to meet today's housing need. At the same time, complex and lengthy approval processes can make it difficult for those institutions to bring affordable housing projects to life. This ordinance creates a city-administered pilot program designed to remove unnecessary barriers and streamline processes without lowering standards or accountability. Under YIGB, qualifying faith-based, educational, and nonprofit organizations may propose CRA-eligible affordable housing on land they have already owned as of January 1st, 2025. These organizations must retain a controlling ownership interest throughout the required affordability period, ensuring long-term commitment to both the project and the community that it serves. Every project approved through this program must meet the city's community reinvestment area affordability standards, including income targeting and duration requirements, or any successor program adopted by our council. What YIGB offers participants is time. Projects in the program receive expedited site engineering and building reviews, along with predictable area commission review period, all at no additional cost. By saving time, this will reduce project cost, improve feasibility, and help get affordable homes built sooner. As we consider upcoming zoning, zone-in phases and zoning reform, this pilot gives us a practical, data-driven tool to meet today's housing needs while remaining flexible for tomorrow. YIGB is about aligning our values with our actions. It recognizes trusted community institutions as partners, it respects neighborhood processes, and it reflects our shared belief that when we use our resources wisely, we can create opportunity, stability, and dignity for more Columbus residents. So I look forward to the implementation of this and working with the departments and our faith and educational and nonprofit partners as we move this forward, as well as next steps. We see this as a part one, but we know that technical assistance is critically important, and we look forward to working with those organizations and some of our community partners that we have here tonight. We have an invited guest, Mr. Adam Troy, and we have several folks who have signed up, not folks, advocates, leaders in the faith and housing space who are here to speak on this ordinance. First, I'd bring up Mr. Adam Troy to speak on Ordinance 0245-2026. And thank you to everyone for hanging out with us this evening.
On the record to reflect that Johnny Pitts just threatened me not to take much of his time back there, so Chair Ross, and to certainly Council President Harding and all of the esteemed members of council, thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening and certainly for your leadership in addressing one of the most important challenges facing Columbus: safe, affordable housing for everybody. As director of New Salem Baptist Church's Economic and Community Engagement Nonprofit Foundation, I stand in strong support of advancing the Yes in God's Backyard initiative and any related policy proposals that open the door for faith institutions to leverage their land as a tool for equitable development. Across our city, churches and faith-based organizations sit at the heart of neighborhoods. They are trusted anchors not just for worship, but also for food distribution, child care, youth programs, health outreach, and countless other services that strengthen community well-being. As you know, many of these institutions also steward land that can and should be repurposed for more pressing housing needs. Some may ask, is this practical? Councilman Rimmer, you know me for a long time, and I love the way council asks questions. In fact, unlocking the potential of faith-owned land is both practical and visionary. It is practical because faith communities already own and maintain these properties, often in areas where land cost and barriers to development are otherwise prohibitive. It is visionary because it aligns with our values of human dignity, social justice, and equal opportunity, making sure that families of all incomes can live and thrive in every neighborhood. Specifically in Linden and throughout Northeast Columbus, where I've had the pleasure of working alongside of my friend Johnny Pitts, who you'll hear from in a minute, we have seen firsthand how faith-based partners can serve as conveners, collaborators, and catalysts for holistic change. Policy that lowers barriers, provides technical assistance, and encourages innovative partnerships will allow congregations to, in fact, reimagine their underutilized spaces as homes, hubs, and hope for future generations. This is not simply about building units of housing. It's about dignity, equity, and building stronger, more connected communities. For the faith-based community specifically, Yes in God's Backyard reflects a moral imperative to ensure that land stewarded for the public good continues to serve the public good, especially when it comes to sheltering our neighbors and strengthening families. I urge Council to continue advancing this conversation into concrete policy action. Together, we can ensure Columbus leads the way in showing how commerce and community, how sacred and the secular, how faith and city partnerships can transform vacant lots and underutilized properties into pathways of stability, equity, and belonging. Thank you for your time and your continued commitment to this vital work.
Thank you so much, Mr. Troy. Are there any questions or comments from Mr. Troy? I mean, you and Mr. Pitts, Pastor Pitts, are examples of this is not new to the faith community. This is the city catching up to be as good of support and partner as possible as we have this shared goal.
Absolutely.
And so just thank you for your leadership. You know, one of the hearings that we had was at Corbin Commons, a project that was done 25 years ago,
Correct. Johnny Pitt's organization, Dayspring CDC, led that for us, and it still stands as a unique partnership throughout the Midwest, maybe in the United States, where 3 faith-based institutions came together across denominational lines in partnership with one of the largest nonprofit entities, that being Homeport, and carried that project for literally 2 decades.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, we want to continue to be good partners as we meet this moral imperative.
Absolutely. We appreciate you.
Next up, we will have Pastor Johnny Pitts of Day Springs Christian CDC come just probably speak a little bit more on the work that he has been leading for over 2 decades.
Adam said he yelled at me a couple minutes of his time if I go over 3 minutes. But he is correct. Council President Hart, members of council, thank you for the opportunity to come before you tonight. I am president of Dayspring Christian Community Development Corporation. Dayspring has been in existence for over 30 years and has provided more than 1,500 units of affordable housing during this period. We currently are co-owners of 300 affordable housing units in 3 different developments, one in the partnership that Mr. Troy just spoke of. I am here to speak in support of the ordinance, Yes in God's Backyard, that is being presented tonight by President Hardin. With Dayspring having been in the affordable housing industry for over 25 years, we certainly know the importance of the passage of this ordinance. What it means to us as a faith-based group is a greater capacity to produce affordable housing through increased funding opportunities that this ordinance makes available to faith-based groups. It means over $7 million of debt forgiveness. And just as important, it streamlines and provides for more favorable zoning experience with land owned by faith-based entities like ours. This indeed is groundbreaking and should benefit affordable housing in Columbus. And I will say this, not like some developing that we see being done by out-of-state predators who mask market rate housing with 2 or 3 units being called affordable in an effort to take advantage of these tax dollars. That's all I'm going to say about that subject. I'll conclude by saying thank you, President Hardin. Thank you for taking the initiative. Thank you for your insight. Thank you for your determination in seeing this initiative to fruition. And that it has been our privilege to assist and support you from the beginning. I also want to thank Council Members Bankston, Council Member Weish, and the City of Columbus Department of Development for all of their support of Dayspring and our efforts to provide safe, sanitary, and affordable housing for the residents of Columbus. Dayspring strongly encourages the passage of this ordinance by this City Council. Thank you for the opportunity to address the council, and God bless each of you.
Thank you. Thank you, Pastor Pitts. Councilmember.
Thank you, Council President. I just wanted to say thank you for your work. You know, if folks do not understand the history of CDCs, they started after the Civil Rights Movement, and it was rooted in community so that community could make a reinvestment in areas that weren't invested in. And because it was grounded in community, I think when people first think about where they find community is certainly within our faith-based communities, right? So you have really been the example as we talk about expanding housing and as we talk about land use and as we talk about ensuring that we are making housing accessible for all. I think our CDCs, our faith-based communities have led that way. You have been the example. So to the point that Council President is talking about us catching up as a community, we really are playing that catch-up game. And so as we legislate this, right, and as we resource this, I just wanted to acknowledge the role that you have played. You talked about Dayspring being 30-some years old. I mean, the CDCs really started in the 60s. And so we've seen this around the country where we are giving voice and power back to the community to say, these are the things we want in our backyard. Right? This is what we want to see. So I just, again, want to thank you both because as I think about leaders that have been doing this work and have been empowering communities and have been thinking about how do we reinvest in communities that often feel forgotten, communities that quite literally were cut off because of redlining and other practices, that you have been what has buoyed up the community while the rest of us catch up. And so, so thank you. So thank you for being here. Thank you for being supportive, and thank you for leading the way.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much, Pastor Pitts. As you said, you were very helpful throughout the process, being an advisor, looking at the legislation, advising us, hosting us. So just thank you so much for your partnership on this.
You're welcome, President Hart. Everyone wants to make me a pastor, but I'm just a minister.
Yes,
and so I just want to make sure you get the title right. And so thank you very much.
Councilmember Deakauer knows the difference. She's like. The next speaker to come before council is Reverend John Edgar.
Council President Hardin, Committee Chairperson Ross, and other members of City Council. I'm pleased to express my strong support for the Yes in God's Backyard legislation. I'd like to begin by affirming that all of us dwell inside a divine economy of abundance, not scarcity. There is enough of every good gift for every good purpose, as long as we share forward the best that God has entrusted to us. This legislation provides a fresh opportunity for churches, along with other nonprofits, to do just that by using portions of our properties as sites for building affordable housing. The YIGBY initiative will make it easier for our organizations to redevelop underutilized land into homes for people who are seeking a roof over their head and a key to their own front door. The program also will provide technical assistance to churches so that congregations and other nonprofits can make wise, informed decisions as they embark on housing ministries. Now, I've been involved in faith-based efforts to develop housing going all the way back to 1987, when Reverend Bill Filburn, Kim Stans from the City of Columbus, and myself established the Greater Columbus Habitat for Humanity affiliate. And that organization has thrived in all the time since then, largely because of hundreds of churches that have invested their financial resources and their volunteer labor. Furthermore, from its inception in 2003 until my retirement 20 years later, I served as the Executive Director of Community Development for All People, a United Methodist organization. Much of our ministry on the South Side has focused on developing housing. We began by rehabbing one vacant blighted duplex and gradually expanded our work to the point that we have developed more than $150 million of affordable housing on the South Side. The City of Columbus has been an essential partner in all of these endeavors. And I'm delighted that City Council is now taking yet another bold step forward with the Yes in God's Backyard initiative. This program promises to open the way for many more faith-based organizations to use portions of our properties as the site for building housing. One of these groups with whom I'm now working is Bethel International United Methodist Church. This congregation is exploring the feasibility of taking 2 acres of their land on Bethel Road and using it as the site for constructing dozens of 4-bedroom apartments to serve larger families, especially their immigrant neighbors. This legislation is a source of hope and encouragement for all of us in the faith community who yearn to serve our neighbors by offering forward the best that God has entrusted to us. Thank you for your leadership.
Well, thank you, Reverend Egger. You set the example. What City for All People has done on the South Side is really God's work and brought thousands of units to fruition. And we just appreciate your leadership and your advisement along the way as well. And I think we've already spoke about this. The project we're working with on Bethel is a glowing example of what we can do when we work together. So really excited. Any questions or comments for Pastor? Thank you so much. Thank you again for sticking around. And our last speaker on this is Anatea Kasango from the Affordable Housing Alliance of Central Ohio. Anna, welcome to council.
Well, good evening, council, and happy early Valentine's Day, hence the pink. President Hardin, President Pro Tem Dorans, and Chair Ross, as well as members of council. I'm Anatea Kasango. I'm the Assistant Executive Director at the Affordable Housing Alliance of Central Ohio. We begin by thanking you for proposing this Yes in God's Backyard pilot. Removing unnecessary and outdated bureaucratic barriers that prevents faith-based, nonprofit, and colleges from building affordable housing on land they own is a meaningful step to addressing our housing needs and serves public interests. AHACO and 85% of Central Ohio residents wish to allow nonprofits like churches or colleges to more easily build affordable housing with a simplified permitting process. By supporting these trusted community-centered organizations through complex and lengthy building approval processes, Council is uplifting mission-driven groups and ensuring that the housing problem is solved from the ground up, under the stewardship of local leaders like you heard tonight. We also thank you for keeping this program narrowly focused on affordability and creating rent-restricted housing Tying these mandates to CRA guidelines sets clear expectations and accountability, echoing YIGBY legislation from peer cities like California, Virginia, Maryland, and even Florida. While being mission-driven can relieve a profit motive, these entities will face the same operational challenges as other builders: rising material costs, labor costs, and lending risks. For this reason, we are hopeful that this YIGBY pilot is the first resource on what will become a broad toolkit to support mission-centered housing. As we look ahead to solutions that further support deep affordability, we are excited for our community to invest in training and mentorship programs that teach the fundamentals of affordable construction, pre-development loans and grants that allow nonprofits to seize these opportunities, initiatives that broaden access to legal counsel so nonprofits are supported in this work, and proven affordability programs like grants, low-cost loans, and credit enhancements that bring down rents. Acknowledging the important work to come, we thank Council for supporting the free Yes in God Backyard Academy we are co-hosting with PACT on March 4th, called From Prayers to Proformas, a housing crash course for Central Ohio's faith leaders. This is an educational space to build fellowship and skills that will advance faith-based and nonprofit affordable housing projects. And tickets are running out. So for those who want to register, please make sure to check our website. So the need for affordable housing is crucial. 52,000 of our families spend more than half of every paycheck on housing alone. And over 3/4 of our residents say that they know a loved one who's been impacted by our housing shortages. So we are grateful for Council, for thinking creatively about these solutions, and for listening to the overwhelming majority of our neighbors who agreed that a simplified process is necessary for mission-driven housing. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anna. We're so excited about the training next month. How do folks find out about it?
So you go to ahaco.org, so that's ahaco.org/from prayers to proformas. So the registration link is there. You can see the whole run of show, all the speakers who will be there, conversations about land use, light tech, really navigating CDCs, everything you can think of in one location, because we want to make sure that our faith-based and our nonprofits are equipped with what they need to take the next step.
That's awesome. And I think our own Erin Prosser is speaking at the conference. So.
Yes, she is. Yeah, we're very excited.
Thank you so much, Anna. Are there any questions or comments for Anna? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, with that, I'm going to turn it back over to the chair, but I also want to thank my team, Jessica Klinger, for all the hard work in shepherding this through, as well as Dr. Katie Fallon, who has worked so hard on this legislation. I am very proud that you guys are allowing me to check off my Columbus Forward initiative tonight. So thank you so much, and I'll turn it back over to Councilmember Ross.
There are no additional questions or comments. I'll move for passage.
Clerk, please call, clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Akauer, Dorance Green, Remy Ross, White, President Harden.
Passed.
All right. I need to move back to page 15, if you don't mind, Council President, to remove ordinance number 0074-2026 is removed from the consent agenda, so I'm going to read it and move to be amended as submitted. To authorize the Director of the Department of Development to forgive the principal and accrued interest on a unit-by-unit basis for Joyce Avenue Homes Limited Partnership on a home loan due to the City of Columbus more than $1,359,770.66 as homes are sold to existing tenants or low-income homebuyers to reduce the interest rate on the current balance of the loan to zero. I will motion to amend as submitted.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Akauer, Dorance Green, Remy Ross, White, President Harden.
And I will move to pass as amended.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Akauer, Dorance Green, Remy Ross, White, President Harden.
Thank you, Council President. That is it from the committee.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Next committee to come before council is the Public Utilities and Sustainability Committee, chaired by Councilmember Weiss. Councilmember, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Council President. First, in Public Utilities and Sustainability, I have Ordinance 3418-2025 to authorize the Director of Public Utilities to enter into a construction contract with Danbert Incorporated for the Blueprint Miller Kelton Newton Bedford permeable pavement and Newton Bedford Water Line Improvements Project, to authorize an amendment to the 2025 capital improvements budget, to authorize the appropriation and expenditure of up to $8,176,756.60 from the Water Pollution Control Loan Fund and the Water Supply Revolving Loan Account Fund for the contract, to make this ordinance contingent upon Ohio Water Development Authority approving loans for the project, and to authorize the expenditure of up to $2,000 from the Sanitary Bond Fund to pay for prevailing wage services. This project will construct 7,174 square yards of permeable pavers in the Livingston Avenue area. Additionally, this project includes the construction of new storm sewers, drainage modifications to existing storm sewers, curb and sidewalk replacement, and the installation of 1,424 linear feet of water lines. Let me stop there, see if any questions or comments from my colleagues. Seeing none, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Akauer, Dorance Green, Remy Ross, Vice President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. Next, I have ordinance 3441-2025 to authorize the Director of the Department of Public Utilities to modify and increase the contract with Jacobs Engineering Group for the Jackson Pike Water Reclamation Plant Digester Improvements Project, to make this ordinance contingent upon the Ohio Water Development Authority approving a loan for this project, to amend the 2025 capital improvement budget, to appropriate funds within the Water Pollution Control Loan Fund, and to authorize an expenditure of up to $11,446,186 from the Water Pollution Control Loan Fund to pay for the project. This improvement project will equip Jackson Pike with the necessary infrastructure to continue digesting sludge solids and therefore reduce the need for further treatment or disposal. Additionally, the digestion process rids sludge of contaminants, enabling it to be converted into agricultural fertilizer or mulch for residents' usage. Let me stop there, see if any questions or comments from my colleagues. Seeing none, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Akauer, Dorance Green, Remy Ross, Vice President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. Next, I have ordinance 3450-2025 to authorize the Director of the Department of Public Utilities to enter into a professional engineering services contract modification with Arcadis US Incorporated for the Southerly Wastewater Treatment Plant Variable Frequency Drivers and Harmonic Filter Upgrade Project, to authorize the appropriation of funds in the Water Pollution Control Loan Fund, to make this ordinance contingent upon the Ohio Water Development Authority approving a loan for this project, and to authorize an expenditure of up to $1,415,543.62 from the Water Pollution Control Loan Fund. This project includes the evaluation and replacement of equipment at the Southerly plant that has been deemed to be nearing the end of its useful service life. This project is part of the city's continuing effort to upgrade its treatment facilities. Let me stop there, see if any questions or comments from my colleagues. Seeing none, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Akauer, Dorance Green, Remy Ross, Vice President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. Next, I have 0001-2026 to authorize the Director of the Department of Public Utilities to enter into a contract modification with Resource International for the Construction Administration Construction Inspection Services 2023-2025 contract for the Blueprint Miller Kelton Newton Bedford permeable pavement and Newton Bedford water line improvements project, to authorize an amendment to the 2025 capital improvement budget, to authorize the appropriation and expenditure of up to $1,222,060.49 from the Water Pollution Control Loan Fund and the Water Supply Revolving Loan Account Fund for the contract, and to make this ordinance contingent upon the Ohio Water Development Authority approving loans for the project. This project is part of the ongoing Blueprint project, which includes the rehabilitation and repair of existing sewers, as well as the construction of new sewers and green infrastructure. This will help mitigate sanitary sewer overflows into basements and waterways, as well as other drainage and flooding issues. Let me stop there, see if any questions or comments from my colleagues. Seeing none, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Akauer, Dorance Green, Remy Ross White, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. Next, I have 0006-2026 to authorize the Director of the Department of Public Utilities to modify an existing contract with Bermex Incorporated to add additional funding to provide water meter reading services for the Division of Water and to authorize the expenditure of $2,200,000 from the Water Operating Fund. This ordinance provides the funding necessary for Bermex Incorporated to continue collecting data through manual and radio reads of the department's water meters within the city of Columbus and other contracted communities. Let me stop there, see if any questions or comments from my colleagues. Seeing none, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Akauer, Dorance Green, Remy Ross White, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. Next, I have ordinance 32-2026 to authorize the Director of Finance and Management to associate all general budget reservations resulting from this ordinance with the appropriate universal term contract purchase agreements for the purchase of sewer treatment chemicals for the Department of Public Utilities and to authorize the expenditure of $4,467,500 from the Sanitary Sewer Operating Fund. The purchase of sewer treatment chemicals is necessary for the treatment of waste and to provide reduced backups and overflows to residents of Columbus and surrounding communities. Let me stop there, see if any questions or comments from my colleagues. Seeing none, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Akauer, Dorance Green, Remy Ross White, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. Next, I have ordinance 33-2026 to authorize the Director of the Department of Public Utilities to modify and increase the contract with Ascension Construction Solutions LLC for the wastewater treatment facilities professional construction management services project, to authorize an amendment to the 2025 capital improvement budget, to authorize the transfer of funds and appropriations between projects in the sanitary bond fund, and to authorize the expenditure of up to $1,989,574 from the sanitary bond fund to pay for the contract modifications. Ascension Construction Solutions LLC will provide professional construction management services on the Southerly Wastewater Treatment Plant variable frequency drives and harmonic filter upgrade project. These services will help to prevent or reduce the number of construction claims and provide quality control for construction, therefore ensuring that the project runs smoothly and the city can continue to provide efficient and cost-effective wastewater treatment services. Let me stop there, see if any questions or comments from my colleagues. Seeing none, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Akauer, Dorance Green, Remy Ross White, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. Next, I have ordinance 35-2026 to authorize the Director of the Department of Public Utilities to enter into a construction contract with Sterling Building Company for the elevator improvements project and to authorize an expenditure of up to $4,012,050 for the project. This project involves the renovation of numerous freight elevators at water plants and utility complexes throughout the city. The necessary renovations and improvements will bring the elevators up to new code compliance, effectively increasing reliability and safety for city employees and visitors. Let me stop there, see if any questions or comments from my colleagues. Seeing none, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Akauer, Dorance Green, Remy Ross White, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. Next, I have ordinance 57-2026 to authorize the Director of the Department of Finance and Management to associate all general budget reservations resulting from this ordinance with the appropriate universal term contract purchase agreements for the purchase of Centrex and data services for the Department of Public Utilities, and to authorize an expenditure of $1,030,000 split among the water, electricity, and sanitary sewer operating funds. The purchase of Centrex and data services will provide the department with the digital and technology capacity to continue providing utility services to residents of Columbus and surrounding communities. Let me stop there, see if any questions or comments from my colleagues. Seeing none, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Akauer, Dorance Green, Remy Ross White, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. And finally, I have ordinance 58-2026 to authorize the Director of the Department of Public Utilities to enter into a professional engineering services contract modification with Hatch Associates Consultants Incorporated for the Southerly Water Reclamation Plant Power System Upgrade and Safety Improvements Project, to authorize the appropriation of funds in the Water Pollution Control Loan Fund, to make this ordinance contingent upon Ohio Water Development Authority approving a loan for this project, and to authorize an expenditure of up to $1,596,426.44 within the Water Pollution Control Loan Fund to pay for the contract modifications. This project will replace equipment that is past its useful life or that no longer meets the electrical loads required by Southerly. Replacing this equipment will reduce the amount of maintenance needed to keep the plant operational, as well as the number of electrical safety issues. Let me stop there, see if any questions or comments from my colleagues. Seeing none, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Akauer, Dorance Green, Remy Ross White, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you, Council President. All I have in my committee this evening. However, I do have a ordinance in Rules and Policy. May I continue?
Please.
Tonight. Okay, we're going to keep it moving. All right,
Yeah.
tonight, in Rules and Policy, I have ordinance 237-2026 to enact Chapter 181, Recycling Services Regulation, City Facilities. This ordinance will amend Columbus City Code, effectively requiring recycling within most city facilities. This is part of an initiative that I announced last year for the Columbus Forward project to expand the scope of city recycling beyond the current weekly residential recycling program. As part of this initiative, it is important that our city government does its part to conduct its operations sustainably and divert recyclable waste from landfills. With that being said, this code change will ensure that all city-owned and operated facilities open to the public will utilize proper recycling services. All third-party custodial contractors will be required to accommodate the city's recycling needs, and all city employees receive annual training and education on recycling. That is a lot to do in a short amount of time in a city as big as we are. So to allow for sufficient time for the implementation of these new requirements, this chapter will not take effect until January 1 of 2027. Let me pause there, see if any questions or comments from my colleagues. Seeing none, let's just start by the fact that it is important for us to set the example, right? If we say that we want to reduce waste going to our landfill, then we should put that in action ourselves. And so I'm excited to have the support of various departments as well as the administration to move forward on this, because we need to be that example for our residents to see in order for us all to have a more sustainable future. With that being said, I move for passage.
And thank you for your leadership on this. As you said, we are just getting started as we try to continue to move our city forward in a more sustainable way. So thank you for your leadership.
Thank you.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Akauer, Dorance Green, Remy Ross White, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. That is all I have this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, while we are in the Rules and Policy Committee, I will do the last ordinance for the evening. It is ordinance 0012-2026. It's to amend existing sections 362-03, 362-053, 362-091, 362-096, 362.14, and 362.19 of Chapter 362 of the Columbus City Codes to include amendments and enactments required by HB 96, 136 General Assembly concerning municipal income taxation. With the passage of the state's biennial budget bill, House Bill 96, this ordinance makes updates to matters of municipal income tax. This brings the city into alignment with the changes made through the state's budget bills, such as new codified statutes concerning municipal income tax and timelines to file requests for tax refunds and assessments. This will bring the city in line with the ORC as a result of the state budget. If there are no comments or questions from my colleagues, I move for passage. Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Akauer, Dorance Green, Remy Ross White, President Harden.
Passed. Seeing no further business come for council, is there a motion to adjourn? Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Akauer, Dorance Green, Remy Ross White, President Harden.
Meeting is adjourned. We have two non-